Won the World Series, and the Ford Model R hit the assembly line. While here in Ohio, school administrators came together to form the Ohio High School Athletic Association. One thing that hasn't changed since 1907 is the dedication of the OHSAA to education-based athletics in Ohio. School sports teach responsibility, sportsmanship, and life lessons that stay with students long after their playing days are over. The OHSAA seeks to prepare students not for the next level of sport, but for the next level of life.
This is Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms, and your home for Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio.
At Progressive, we love sports and saving you money, so we bundled them together.
Top of the seventh looks like a pitching change as they've set up for a corner kick. The two black belts have entered the mat, and the slider is low and away. He heads the ball to midfield. This is quite a kumite. Here comes the roundhouse. Has it got enough gas to get out of here? Unbelievable! They've bundled their home and auto insurance with Progressive. Kick savings pitch karate.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost? Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. BestHotelRates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to BestHotelRates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping for your next hotel room. BestHotelRates.com. It's in the name. BestHotelRates.com.
Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids right here in our own backyard are facing hunger every day? Without healthy food, it's harder to grow, to thrive, to feel their best.
The impact when children don't have enough to eat is tremendous because when you're hungry and your basic needs aren't being met, you cannot learn.
Every child deserves to be fed. This is a problem we know how to solve. Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love.
Breakfast in the classroom contributes to kids being more focused, which leads to higher grades, and simply just their well-being.
Thank you!
Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org. Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids are facing hunger every day? Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love.
Thank you!
Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
The Die Hards.
Jeff, have you seen the commercial with Fitzmagic?
Yes.
The Switch? And the Thursday night football game is on. And it's Thursday night football, and it's awesome. You know what's cool about that video? When he flips the switch and they show all the teams and the highlights back and forth, it doesn't glitch. It like shows like, hey, it's an actual football game. It's cool, Prime. You're very good. But every time I put Prime on Thursday night, I get a delay. I get a glitch. It's not playing. Right now, my TV's not even connected to the internet with the routers 5 feet away from it. Like, the service stinks, but forget that. Now I can't even get the stream. Now I don't even have a connection. Freaking games. No, don't worry about it. I only have 2 dimes on it. Don't worry about it. Just freaking don't play it. Just tell me after. I friggin' hate this beyond word. But this sucks. It flat out sucks.
The Die Hards, weeknights from 8 to 10 Eastern on the Sports Map Radio Network.
Wake up calls. You guys want to kick field goals all game? Is that what the league is coming down to now? Do you know how many box scores I look at where I see a kicker kick 4 field goals in a game now? It happens all the time.
The offense seems to be able to move the ball in their first 50 pretty easily.
Exactly.
Once they get past the 50, everything gets stalled. But now you have kickers where it's like, oh, let's go for the 50-plus yard field goal. He's consistent.
At this rate, kickers are going to start making $20 million a year.
It's a kicker's league, Tony.
Wake up call with Tony V and Ron Colbert. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
It's time to kick back and listen to the Sports Page with your host, Pat Lucia, right here on Western Reserve Radio. You can call the show at 330-707-4202 and tell everyone what's on your mind in the wonderful world of sports. Now, here's your host, Pat Lucia.
Saturday morning Sports Page, Pat Lucia. Dave Clark on his way in this morning, and we've got a lot to talk about. 330-707-4202. Get in and talk sports. We do it every Saturday morning here on Western Reserve Radio from 9 to 11. The playoffs are a week away. Black Monday is this Monday. We'll look at the potential coaches changes in the NFL. A lot of speculation. Could Bill Belichick be coaching his last game in New England tomorrow? A lot of speculation that Bill Belichick is ultimately going to move on from the New England Patriots, or maybe I should kind of say it, he and Robert Kraft are, quote, working on a separation. I guess it's kind of a divorce in essence. But if that does occur, that will also add, right now there are 3 openings in the NFL. That would be the Raiders, the Panthers, and the Chargers. Other question marks out there as far as potential coaching changes. The Patriots obviously are coming up. Commanders, people feel that with the new ownership, Ron Rivera's days are probably numbered. He could be coaching his last game also tomorrow. Bill Belichick will take on the Jets at home. We'll talk about that game. The Jets obviously had just a totally disappointing season with the loss of Aaron Rodgers. And let's call it for what it is, though. The Jets are good defense, but a very poor offensive line. And maybe it was I'm saying if Rodgers plays behind that same offensive line next year, I think he's going to obviously have some potential problems. So the Jets have a lot to work on as far as their offensive line. But getting back to the coach situation, there will be changes. There are 3 openings. And Adam Scheffler, who was talking to Dan Patrick yesterday, and I caught some of that interview, Adam Scheffler believes he thinks there could be 7 to 8 coaches changes. He brought this was a very interesting statistic that he brought up yesterday. talking to Dan Patrick, that since the turn of the century, 2000, the average turnover in the NFL is 6.8 openings a year. Rounded off, the NFL fires 7 coaches a year, or I don't know, fire, quit, resign, however you want to call it. There are 7 openings in the NFL every year on an average since the year 2000. So right now we are looking at 3: Raiders, Panthers, Chargers. And I mentioned the Commanders and the Patriots. Then there's also discussion about the Falcons making a coaching changing. The Saints are potentially on the board. Does Dennis Allen survive? Then the other one that's a little surprised, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't beat the Panthers this week, there is at least some speculation that their coach could be fired. So Todd Bowles could be on the proverbial hot seat if he doesn't beat the Panthers this week. So the coaching changes, and we'll talk a lot more about it, but the Monday is coming and it's very close. This is going to be the Black Monday. We always love to talk about it because there's always a lot of turnover in the NFL. And speculation is there could be, right now we know there are 3 openings. Could there be 7 or 8? Potentially. I had the Bears, potentially, Evil Flus could be on the hot seat, but people think he may keep his job. They have a big game at Green Bay this weekend. They could be the spoiler to Green Bay's Super Bowl playoff hopes. If Green Bay wins, they get in. It's simple for them. The question is going to ultimately be, though, we'll get to what do the Chicago Bears do with the number 1 pick they will have in the draft, because Carolina is already, that's guaranteed. Now, Carolina, who basically it's Chicago's pick, they have notched the number 1 pick overall. There's Caleb Williams seems to be the name pretty much coming up as far as being the number 1 pick overall. I know there are some discussions about other quarterbacks maybe getting in, but everything I've heard, it's Caleb Williams going to be number 1, Dave Clark. So breaking this all down, the coaching changes, we got Jim Harbaugh's name is also in this whole mix, and Michigan Monday night playing Washington for the national title. A lot of speculation with Jim Harbaugh. What does he do? What's the NCAA going to do to him? They're not done with their investigation. They're still mad about the hamburger gate. Let's face it. We know how they act. Could they basically drop the hammer and suspend Harbaugh for a whole year because of the fixing? And then they're still mad about hamburger gate.
Yeah. And I still don't, I'm not buying that fixing or stealing signs crap. That stuff been going on for years. I mean, all the way back to when I played, people stole signs all the time.
Yeah.
And it was the smartest thing to do is to change them.
Just change.
You change them, and then, I mean, it's just, and college football can go to the pro system where they put the radio in the helmet, and that'll squash all that. But they act like that's something brand new. Oh my God, look what they did. That's been going on for years. I mean, actually, when, I don't know, I was thinking of somebody that here might have coached high school football. Well, Bob is not here, but he'll tell you that when they send you out to scout, we don't just watch the game.
No.
We watch what the tendencies is, what the coach's tendency, what they're doing, like the play calling from the side. We watch all that when we're scouting the team. And you mark it down. And then you look at film and you notice they do the same thing that you just seen at the same time. That's how you know what people are doing. I mean, they act like it's brand new.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to hear that. And the hamburger, I don't even want to talk about that. Take me back, start having Lefty Drizel flashbacks when he got in trouble. So, I mean, I just don't buy any of that crap. But I do believe Harbaugh is going to the NFL. I do. And I know that there's been speculations to the Raiders or the Chargers, but I think the pressure is going to be on Mark Davis hard about giving that job to Antonio Pierce because he let Bisaccia get away. You got these guys playing for him. You got to just let that flow. And I do like Harbaugh and would like him to be the coach, but not the way that's going. Let him go ahead to San Diego. Well, it's not San Diego,
Well,
but
they
it's
are.
San Diego to us.
They're
So just let him go to the Chargers, and that would be great.
Right.
And everything just worked from there. But I just it's just it's just crazy with that. And these openings, we know they're coming. Rivera, you know
Rivera's
he's coming.
gone. Yeah, he knows it's gone.
Now he may get another job right away, but it's going to happen because it's a new ownership. They got to change a lot of things around. So
It'll be interesting to see what happens like to an Eric Bieniemy. I think part of Kansas City's problem is they don't have Eric Bieniemy, their offensive coordinator. I think that offense doesn't look right since he left. I'll just come out and say it.
yeah,
I think the Philadelphia Eagles problem, they lost their two coordinators. They don't quite look right. I
you don't
think
know how much they mean,
right.
Right.
Everyone seems to underestimate.
And they thought it'd be okay because Andy Reid, and I do know Andy Reid is the majority of what's going on, but there's still a connection. Reid, might be the head to tell you what to do, what he needs, but then that camaraderie of all of them with Bieniemy, Mahomes, everything, that's a system. And then you break the system,
It
flusters
changes
things.
the team.
Yeah, it
It
just
has an
changes things.
impact.
Yep, and I really believe that. Now, Bieniemy, he'll be gone, but I've seen there's rumors that if Pierce gets the job, that's the guy he wants to bring in as the offensive
Oh,
coordinator
yeah.
to the Raiders.
I
So,
could see that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I tend to think that Harbaugh's leaving.
Yeah.
If I were to
put up with
say,
that mess.
I bet it, right now I would gauge it as more than 50%. Probably I would gauge it about 70% chance he leaves because I think he's going to be in demand. And I think the teams that want to turn around. I know Mike Lombardi was on Mad Dog Russo yesterday, and he's very good to listen to. But they were talking about, this was interesting, Harbaugh going down to Carolina for Tepper. And like Mad Dog was like going, well, yeah, but Tepper is like, he got in trouble for pouring a drink on a fan. But Tepper's pretty
What is
much,
wrong with him?
Yeah,
Well,
he's
lots of money, think I can do anything I want.
there
So,
you go.
I could pour, throw
Poured
stuff and throw it or
a
anything
drink
else I
on a
want.
fan, got
Yeah.
fined by the NFL, what, $500,000.
Yeah. That's $5.
That's like $5. But they brought up about could Harbaugh, and Bieniemy, but not Bieniemy, Tepper. But Lombardi brought up a couple points that if you want to change the culture and you want the guy, you might you're going to have to change maybe your approach as far as you got to let the guy coach and do his thing.
Yeah.
And maybe, Tepper gives him, and Harbaugh's probably going to obviously he's going to want a lot of money. And the question is, the Spanos going to Chargers, they're a little on the cheap side. Well, they want to spend the money to get Harbaugh, or does a Tepper sit back and think, if I really want to change this, I need to go out and give Jim Harbaugh a 5-year deal, $20 million per year, give him a $100 million guaranteed deal across the board. And I need to let this guy do his thing and maybe try not to get involved so much. So could he ultimately end up in a Carolina? But again, if there's somebody that could turn a team around based on Harbaugh's past, he could probably do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not that they're just there. And the thing about it, I will say, Carolina's been losing, but if you ever get a chance to watch their game, they play hard.
They do.
They play hard all the way through. They just don't have enough talent all the way around the board. Or maybe guys are not in the right position to succeed in what they're doing, but they play hard. So the same thing you see out of that's why people better watch out for the Arizona Cardinals next year, I think, or the year coming, because they had a statistic. They got there's nobody even close in the NFL that played as many rookies in time on the field than the Arizona Cardinals this year. It's the youngest team ever on the field that they ever seen. They said back to 1990 something. They've been playing nothing but rookies, and they play hard every game. And they're really happy with Murray. So can they? I think this coach is going to turn things around because those guys will take another step. At least some of them will next year. And you add some talent through the draft and free agency, and you don't know. If we get it every year, we get a team that sprouts up every season that was maybe not really that great the year before, and all of a sudden they're pretty good. So you can see
That's
that
one
happen.
thing that makes the NFL
Yeah.
so
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Is you could take the team that was the, 2-14 or 2-15, and next year they're in the playoffs. Or the team that's, because I think when you break the NFL down, there isn't, even though people say, oh, that's a terrible team, when you look at some of their losses, like you take the Chicago Bears now, they had some really early season losses that they were easy games that they could have won. They had that I believe the Denver loss, they were winning the game and they let it slip away. But the whole point on it is if you have a team like that can just potentially, they're not, I mean, they could be a playoff team next year. They're almost a playoff team this year. I mean, they're not, quite there yet, but they're close.
Right.
And they have the Green Bay Packers this weekend where we're going to get to that game and talk about it. But the Chicago Bears are 7-9. They're out of the playoffs. But I mean, you take a couple wins one way, they're in the playoffs.
Right.
Then the question's going to be, does this coach survive? But then what are they going to do with the number one pick and Justin Fields? Do they keep Justin Fields, but they're going to ultimately have to pay him some money a couple years because they can pick up that fifth year of the rookie contract, or do they reset the contract and go with Caleb Williams, the number one pick overall? Or you trade, get capital, and if they can work it out, they could probably move down a spot, get trade capital, and get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of things they could do. I like to watch NFL Network because it's really not that you have to listen to somebody. They show you actual statistics. It's not nobody opinion. It's right there, black and white. Justin Fields' problem is, they're saying he can make every throw. He's one of the best athletes at the quarterback position, so he can get away from rushes. He can do, but he holds the ball too long, and he has slow decision making.
Yeah.
They said if they get, and which was shocking because they said when he had all those tests before, it showed how he observed things real quick. But he just hasn't done it since he's been in the NFL. He's real slow in his progressions, and which causes him to hold the ball longer, which causes him to have to run for his life because what they showed these last few games. Well, no, that's about last 6 games. How hard and how good they've been. They said one of them, Dante Foreman. Everybody's talking about Sweat, which is definitely on the defense. Dante Foreman has been healthy, and so is Herbert, the other back. They've been able to run the football.
There you go.
And then the offensive line has not been injured. They were injured in and out early in the season. Now the guys are back. Nobody's 100%, but they're all playing every week the same guys. They're not interchanging people. It's the same offensive line. So you get all that in one. Sweat brought the defense to another level. The defensive backs play great. Now that team, if they had if it was maybe the 10th game of the season right now, that team will be definitely scary to play playoffs. And as soon as now, if he thinks that he can get a right person in there to groom Justin Fields, speed that up, see if he can get that together, I think he'd keep him. I think he would then. If they think that, hey, this is taking too long, he should have, and rightfully so, he should. This is the year he should have been to a different level in that department. But, maybe he wants to keep him. If they fire Eberflus, I believe whoever comes in will want to bring their own guys. Just like a coach bringing in, he's gonna draft his own quarterback. He's gonna do that.
It'll bring everybody. The whole coaching staff turns over.
Yeah, I know the one reporter did say on the back that used to play for Seattle. I can't think of his name now, but he played running back for Seattle. He does the NFL Network, and he said he did one of the things he noted. Eberflus would like to stay pat of what they got.
Oh yeah,
but it's going to be pressure on him if he keeps the job. There may be pressure from upstairs to go after him, and it's Caleb Williams, but it's not locked and sealed. It's him for them. A lot of people upstairs, the higher ups, like May too. You know, back quarterback. He's athletic too, but he's a drop back in the pocket quarterback, and that's what they actually want. So he's got a lot to deal with, Everflus, and see what happens because I know he's going to have his own opinion, and now it's going to be contradiction. I know if he has to go the other way and go after another quarterback, I don't know if that's solely his decision for sure. From what the guy said, he said he really likes what's been going on. He said he believed that can be sped up, as far as on the off season, for Justin Fields to get to where he needs to be. But that the owners and people higher up always don't have that patience.
You've got the thing you have to do too, and look at it, and this is going to be obviously very interesting and great talk radio for the next few months, is they have to decide what quarterback they want. Do they want to go the rookie route? Do they want to go to a Caleb Williams or Drake May? But there's no guarantees there.
Right.
Those guys can come in and struggle.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't played the NFL level. They're a crapshoot. You've got Justin Fields. You have seen this young quarterback really progress before your eyes, and you could see him improving every week. And that's what Greg Cosell was saying on Colin Cowherd, that he watched the last few weeks with Justin Fields, and he says he's improving. He's getting better. He's getting more confident. He's taking, but this is always what gets me. Maybe because the offensive line is better, Fields has got more confidence and feels like I have time to make those reads.
Yeah, they said he's still doing it. He's still slow.
He's still slow.
Even though he got that protection, he can get rid of the ball faster. Than he's doing. Yeah, he just got to get sped up. That's all.
You bring in maybe another quarterback coach that can really work with him. And you've got to look at it is that the situation? What do you want to do here? Do you want to take a known entity in Justin Fields, knowing that he needs to maybe improve in a couple areas, but you could see him, he's starting to make that move and we're getting a better team around him. Do you stay that route or you bring in reset the contract, bring in the rookie, but then suffer with some of the rookie learning curves? And how does that impact your team? So that's going to be a tough decision to make. And I don't think there's a right or wrong one. It's just a matter of what they want to do. Now they're going to have right now, I think I looked at the draft order. They're sitting at number 10. Chicago has the 10th, their own pick at number 10.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have the number 1 pick. Now, then the other, question is going to be, what do they want to do? They trade that or take Caleb Williams and trade Fields. What can you get for Justin Fields now?
Right.
One thing is going to help him, and his probably draft stock is going up because you see, if you're a team and you're looking at quarterbacks you're looking at a Justin Fields.
Oh, you mean it's trade? Yeah, it's trade
for
back.
trade.
Yeah.
Trade stock. Thank you, not draft stock. His trade stock is going up.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, is he worth it? Could he be worth a second rounder?
Yeah.
Could it be a late first rounder, depending on how he plays? We know what the demand on quarterbacks has inherently been in the NFL. So his stock is probably going to be pretty high, especially they go up to Green Bay. He looks pretty good and they beat Green Bay. They go out. Chicago goes out in an 8-9 season. And now you're looking at Fields. I know Colin Cowherd's not a big fan of Justin Fields, but because he throws out, he only beats the weak teams and his completion isn't 60%. It's only 59%, and on and on and on. But I always kind of look at more of the eye test and the team around him. But that's going to be this is going to be an interesting decision for the Chicago Bears as they look to. And then what do they do with their coach? Do they keep him? Or again, Harbaugh's name is in the mix on about all these openings now. And it's just a matter on, I think he's going to, I really do believe he's going to go.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think he's going to be in the NFL next year, and I don't know what I'd still be wondering what the Bears can do, but they could be loaded if they did trade him. If they traded,
Oh yeah, and get
because I mean they get in the team where they need to, as far as defensive. They know if they got a solid defensive unit that'll keep you in ball games. You bring a rookie guy in, strengthen your offensive line because now you're getting more drafts.
you get more
More
draft
stock.
capital.
Yeah, all kind of draft there. So you can get your offensive line together. Defense is tight. Get another back. Run the ball like crazy. And don't put so much pressure on that rookie quarterback. They still could be successful, especially in the North. I just think that's the type of football they play in the NFC North anyway.
Yeah.
Smash it, and they could do that the old Chicago Bear way and do it until that quarterback develops to where they need. Because I think that is the only biggest downfall for Fields is that he, like I said, hold the ball. He's not real accurate at times. He get erratic sometimes, but as far as making every throw, he could do all that. There ain't no problem with that. It's just got to get his accuracy together. But that's why I watch. I know the team is poor and stuff around him, but let's see, do he put the ball where it needs to be
That's going to
for
be
the receivers? And that doesn't have anything to do with what's around. Can you get the ball there? And that's the thing. He's not consistent in that. But can he be with the right coach? I think so. So I mean, it's but it's a crap. They may want to start over, but I don't think they can lose either way though, because if they don't,
I think you're right. I don't think there's a
I don't
wrong
think you
answer
can.
here.
I don't think you keep it. You keep him. Keep the draft pick. You don't usually take a wide receiver, with the first pick, but you look at everything else coming around. You can get Marvin Harrison Jr. That's kind of tough. You still could make the trade with that first pick
And get Marvin
and
Harrison
still get
Jr.
him. Still get
and
him.
get capital.
And get capital with him, and that would be a smart move if you keep Fields, and then still get some offensive linemen,
right?
Maybe some linebacker, whatever they need there. Because if you put Harrison with DJ Moore,
Could you imagine that tandem?
That's going to be tough.
Because then who do you can't double team both of them?
No, they won't. You can't.
So
and Cole Kmet, people keep forgetting about him. He's really coming around,
and he's really
He's really a good tight end. So go ahead and double. Now Cole Kmet
is going to be wide open.
Everything. So I mean, they're in a good spot right now.
Yeah, they really are.
I'm telling you, in a good spot to be a really good football team.
And I mean, like I said, if they decide to go and keep the pick, the number one, and keep Fields, then they can maybe trade down. Because the reality is, when you look at these teams like Washington, when you look at the way the draft order maps out, the Arizona Cardinals, I think, have the 4th spot. They don't need a quarterback. So right now, they're going to be looking at Marvin Harrison Jr. I would think Arizona Cardinals at number 4. If Marvin Harrison drops to number 4, he won't get it. He won't get past number 4. I don't think the Cardinals will let him go. I think they grab him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just say people got to watch it because I know that's the consensus. It'll be him. But I tell you that Adonze for Washington catches everything that's even near his body.
Right.
And he's real smooth in his route running too. So he's gonna be a danger. He will be a top pick too as far as a wide receiver.
I know
both right there.
That's
all of it what you like. I mean, because I don't think you can miss with either one.
No, neither one.
Yeah.
So the question's going to be,
get a guy.
Right.
Yeah. Either one of them. Even if Chicago's trying to get a receiver and they didn't get Marvin, they're going to still get a guy.
Yeah. I mean,
it's strong. The wide receiver position,
good,
like they showed,
this is a good year.
A lot of them
for wide receiver.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. That's our music. Okay. That's the first quarter under the books. Saturday Morning Sports Page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. We'll be right back after a quick timeout on Western Reserve Radio.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
Meet Josh.
Hi, everybody.
Josh is a high school basketball player, solid shooter, great teammate.
Hey, don't forget my tenacious D.
And he's my son.
Oh.
So, what does Josh do to be the best basketball player he can be?
I play tennis.
Studies show that student athletes here in Ohio who play more than one high school sport are more likely to excel. Tennis does more than improve Josh's conditioning. It gives him a fresh competitive outlet, reduces the risk of injury by cross-training, and introduces him to different coaching techniques and new friends.
Don't get me wrong, hoops are my first love. Tennis just gives me a little break.
So when the new season begins, Josh isn't burned out on basketball. He's eager to play. And you can see the difference in his game.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Saturday morning sports page coming right back at you. 330-707-4202. Get in and talk sports. Talking about a lot going on in the wonderful world of sports. Right now, the draft order, and this will probably be solidified by Sunday, end of Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, no, they got the playoffs, so that it won't be. That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Especially at the bottom of the
bottom
draft.
won't be.
Yeah.
But as of right now, as we talk, Chicago Bears have the number 1 pick. The Commanders have the number 2 pick. And New England has the number 3 pick followed by Arizona at number 4.
Yeah. Now, who you say had 3?
New England.
Wow. See, and when you all 4, except Arizona, all 3
are quarterback.
Are quarterback needy. They are, because Washington, they did go through Sam Howell shows toughness and everything like that. But if you fire Rivera, you bring in a new guy.
He's going after.
Yeah, he's good. You have to. And if Caleb's gone at first, then Drake May is perfect for your team there. Either way, if however it's got to go, they're in a good spot to get a quarterback without any problem. But Washington, I think they got to go that route. I don't think you come line up next year with Sam
Howell.
I don't think you do.
Keep him as a backup.
You could do that. You might even start the season off with him.
Just let them start the season, but bring the rookie in and see.
As soon as he's ready.
Let him compete. Wait till he's ready.
Unless he comes in like Russell Wilson did and
take over.
Yeah, because Seattle paid all that money for Matt Flynn. I remember, I'll never forget that. I paid a big contract to get him from Green Bay. And you get Russell Wilson in the 3rd round, he beats this guy out. Now, I give Pete Carroll a lot of, he got some power over there because a lot of times owners would be like, well, we draft this guy. He's got to play. Pete Carroll is a competition guy. You didn't beat him, you're out.
No, you're out.
I don't care how much money
He
you
doesn't
get.
care.
And that's that might be one of the reasons he's pretty much successful as a coach over there, because he creates competition. And guys, you got to play well and do well to be able to be on the field.
There is some rumors out there that Pete Carroll might be, retiring from coaching. He may step down.
Yeah, I mean, he's a lot of energy, but he is
older.
older.
But he's in his 70s now.
He's definitely in his 70s.
So the question is going to be, could there be an opening in Seattle? I don't know. I mean, you're right. He's got a lot of energy. He's 72 years old. So he'll be 73 September of this year. So come 2024.
It don't even seem like it, though.
But he doesn't look anywhere near that age. I mean, he's aging unbelievable. Whatever, he's got a fountain of youth, but he definitely doesn't look anywhere near 72. He doesn't even look 62. And he has got the energy, and the guy is obviously like playing for him. So we'll see if that ends up being a potential opening down the road. But when you start looking at these quarterbacks coming out, I'll tell you what, the more I watch him, I know people say Caleb is the best, is the number one. I like Michael Penix. This guy can drop the dimes, man. He could drop. Michael Lombardi was talking about him yesterday on Mad Dog Russo. He said that he throws what people don't realize. He throws a catchable ball. Like he could throw a ball 50, 60 yards, drop it right in the receiver's hands. And like he was saying yesterday, and this is so interesting. He said when Boomer Esiason was a quarterback, your wide receivers better have very strong hands and wrists, because Boomer threw the ball hard and like he threw it through the wall, sort of to speak. He says Penix throws such a very catchable ball and as an accurate passer. I know he's had some injuries in his college career, but he was really high on Penix, and this will be real interesting in this draft. They play Michigan Monday night. Washington does. Both are undefeated, 14-0. So this is like almost like, okay, the two undefeated teams are playing one another. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, I like how that is good that it ended
and
up
I
like
that the way it worked out. I think it'll be a great matchup. I think Michael Penix's draft stock is going up. If they beat Michigan and he plays like he did against Texas and can throw the ball the way he is, NFL teams are got to be thinking, okay, if we don't get Caleb Williams, do we take Michael Penix as the second best quarterback in this draft? Or do you want to go with the Drake May? You want to start looking at, Drake May played against the ACC, and I know people have a tendency to detract from this, but I thought the Pac-12 this year was probably the second best football conference out there. I still think the SEC is the number one conference, but the way Penix played, he played against really good competition, I thought. So I'm thinking that maybe Penix is creeping up that quarterback chart, and there's a lot of great quarterbacks. Bo Nix out of Oregon, Drake May. Then there's Florida State, Jordan Travis. And then there's LSU's quarterback.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be right
Daniels.
there. Jaden Daniels. People got to remember, he started at Arizona.
Right.
Our man recruited him. We play to win the game.
You play the, yeah.
And that's right. He's the one to recruited him to Arizona State to play for him. And Jaden Daniels, that's a guy that's a sleeper too. Those guys, Herm Edwards.
Herm Edwards.
Yep.
Right. He recruited him. When you break these quarterbacks down, this is like a quarterback-laden draft.
Oh, it's a good one this time.
This is maybe one of the best ones because we've rattled off. You want to put Caleb at number one?
You still can. You can still put Drake May.
You could put Drake May there.
But all those is good. Penix
is really good.
Daniels.
Bo Nix.
You did. You said somebody else. I forgot.
Jordan Travis.
Yeah, I think it's somebody else too that they named. But it's a good quarterback draft with a good receiver draft. I mean, you
Right.
can't beat this one.
This may be one of the best drafts we've seen in a long time from a quarterback perspective of guys just coming in and you're just saying, oh man, these guys look great. And it's just going to be a matter. And as we've always talked about, quarterback is the most position. You can't win in the NFL unless you have a quarterback. So I could see some crazy stuff going on as far as teams trading up, teams taking quarterbacks that might not need a quarterback next year, but are like the New York Giants have a lot of need. I get it. But if I'm a Giant fan and Michael and you're right now, the Giants sit at number 5, and I know they need offensive line, they need defensive line, they need, an array. But if you're sitting at number 5 and Michael Penix hasn't been picked yet, and I'm a Giant fan, I take Michael Penix.
Yeah. I seen a thing on there. It had his name in their secondary, but it had them taking Jaden Daniels.
That's
And
fine.
then they had on there, if not available, and then they had Michael Penix on there.
There you go.
They got to go to quarterback route,
right?
Even though they signed that money.
Daniel Jones only has one more year deal.
It's a friendly deal. People don't know. It's a big money, but it's friendly.
Friendly.
They can get out of it
after 2 years.
Yeah, they can get out of it.
They're out.
Yep.
That's really what he signed with the Giants was really a 2-year deal. So he gets the money. They can get out of it after 2 years. You're a Giant fan. You take if you get Michael Penix, take him. You keep him, bring him in, let him kind of learn under Daniel Jones for a year. Groom him. He's your guy. And I would have no problem with the Giants taking him and then working the draft and working your line and what you need. But I just would not at number 5 if you can grab one of these guys, especially if it's a Michael Penix. I take him. I'm a Giant fan, or even the Jaden Daniels. I would be looking at or Jordan Travis. If I'm a Giant fan, you got to grab one of these quarterbacks.
Yeah. As far as college quarterbacks, I like them, all of them. Bo Nix too.
Yeah.
I like all of them.
Bo Nix has a lot of starts under his belt. So does Michael Penix. They've had a lot of long college career. I think that helps them.
And people said Caleb Williams should take what did they say? Take Riley out in the back and strangle him because he comes back and plays this past year. And you got a Heisman Trophy guy like that. Why didn't you put a line around him?
Yeah,
he had the skill guys. Yeah. There was no problem with that, but a line that could protect them because even though he didn't throw many interceptions, still had a lot of touchdowns, but they never seen a guy that was sacked and ran so much life the whole season. It just didn't make any sense, and it made it look like, he wasn't that good. But that offensive line was horrible. I remember he would get the ball snapped to him, and he was running as soon as he got the ball.
He was getting to the point, and I gave him a lot of credit because I was worried that he's just going to get to the point, the man on fire, where I'm running all the time, and I'm to the point I'm in the habit of running all the time.
But he didn't do it.
But he didn't do it.
Yeah, he kept still.
He kept trying to look the reads, do the reads, throw the ball, get the ball to the players, and I gave him a lot of credit for staying focused and not getting I got to get out of here because the building's burning and I got to go.
And the way the season was, I said, how many interceptions he threw? I think he only threw 6. It just seemed like how the season was going. He might have threw like 15 or something. He didn't throw in it. He still had the 30-something touchdown passes. But I think he only had single-digit interceptions. And I don't understand how you could behind that offensive line.
No.
I mean, this guy should have been throwing all kinds of everything.
For the record, you're right. 30 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
That's ridiculous. It seemed like he still should have had a lot of, as much as he was running around, you would think that. And it just seemed like in those games, that's what happened. But it really wasn't. It was just their defense couldn't stop anyone. And the offensive line couldn't block anyone. Or And for them to even have whatever their record was, 7-5 or
Yeah, it was 7-5.
8-5. I think they
Eight.
with the
They won the bowl game. They were put them to 8-5. And that quarterback that came in had a great quarter. Had a fantastic. The Moss was his name.
Yeah.
That backup quarterback.
Matter of fact, after he had that
What did he
great
have?
game,
6 touchdowns.
With the other guy, that Nelson guy that they recruited, he immediately went into the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Right after that, he said he's not going to play.
knows.
This guy, So it's unbelievable that. So I don't know. They better protect this guy for next season.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley's got to work on line play.
He's got to. I mean,
and I don't think
he's getting.
He's not getting an NFL job. So
no, you almost got Caleb Williams.
No,
where he wouldn't be the first pick because he'd be injured. I mean, I am surprised, seriously, because I didn't see him take some hits and he'd get out of it and stuff. I'm surprised he did not get banged up.
It's amazing.
I can't.
It's amazing that he pretty much made it through the entire year.
Yeah, I can't believe it. And when I seen that single-digit interceptions, the 30-something, 30, you said it was 30 touchdowns. I said, it just didn't seem like this. It just seemed like such a poor season. But you look at those statistics, that's not poor at all. He's playing behind a porous offensive line. That's for sure.
Just for the record, the backup quarterback, Miller Moss, for the USC Trojans was 23-33, 372 yards, had 6 touchdowns and an interception. He played a great game, but it was really good. I gave Caleb Williams, really a good guy. Like,
he was there too, and
he's on the sidelines and he's helping the guy. He goes over to Miller Moss, has got his arm around him. They're like, but you can see they're good friends, and he's cheering him on and go, go, go. And the wide receiver came over at the end of the game, and they interviewed, and the wide receiver told, and I can't remember who the wide receiver was. He goes, basically, we worked real hard. Maybe it was Lane was the wide receiver. Anyway, I think it was. And he said, we worked on this, for weeks. Miller Moss and I were just, we were just with one another day in and day out, working on the passing and the catching and the route running. And he goes, because a lot of like he said, you guys don't know that out there, but we really worked hard at this.
Yeah.
And we can't wait till like next year because I'm thinking these guys are going to be dynamite.
Yeah. You put an offensive line there.
But you give this kid an offensive line. He's got the arm. He's got the gun. He can throw the ball down the field.
The guys they supposed to get Oregon, then got some guys and all this. The Big Ten can challenge to be one of the best conferences.
It will.
Coming up now.
No doubt. If
you put in Oregon, USC, who else?
UCLA, Washington.
And Washington.
You got the 4 best teams in the Pac-12. Washington, Oregon, UCLA, and USC going into the Big Ten. That's realistically going to really help.
Oh, it's going to help big time.
The Big Ten, the quality of the Big Ten. Because to me, the Big Ten was not a very good year for the Big Ten. You had Michigan, Ohio State, then you had the drop off, Penn State, and then a way drop off after that. Then those teams just kind of
like the SEC would be the best conference because you figure SEC is getting Texas and Oklahoma next year. This coming season,
SEC will have Texas and Oklahoma.
And Texas really, even though they lost the game, their recruiting is back to the old days of how they stayed on top. They're gonna be tough. It's gonna be very interesting next season. Very interesting.
I can't wait till next season because I think it's going to be the kind of season you're really gonna like. The Big Ten, especially now with the infusion of the Pac-12 in there, those 4 teams from the Pac-12.
That competition is going to make it better for them.
Oh,
so when they go
better.
And play in these playoffs or these championship games that they have lost, it may change things because of that. That season is so tough and tight. They can't help what they had before though. That's why I said, we looked at Michigan's schedule. We looked at. I don't care who they had to play who was on that schedule. They got to play the Big Ten for one, and that's not a struggle. And then they played out of conference stuff is never a struggle, so they don't really play anybody.
No, they played nobody.
So it's
Michigan
tough.
realistically, schedule-wise, did not play anybody.
I mean, and that's I think that all the time for the Big Ten because they don't other than Ohio State playing Michigan and maybe Wisconsin play great one, somebody from the Big Ten, they may raise their head up to be tough. Other than that, out of conference, they may play Ohio State may play a MAC team, and every now and then they might be one of those first games of the season, and they could be playing a Texas or somebody. That could happen. But other than that, they don't play anyone, and it's not their fault because they got to play. Them schedules been made. They got a contract with the Mid American. They play them.
Yeah, they
and
play
all.
those teams.
So I mean, what can they do? They play YSU and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
but they got a contract. There's nothing they can do about that. But
what we can hope for is this: what we can hope is now that they're going to a 12-team playoff, these teams will start to schedule better out-of-conference opponents, give the viewer, the fan, some good quality games to watch and get away from these lopsided, playing the YSUs or the Miami of Ohio's or, the Eastern Michigan, on those schedules. Give us the schedule like they played in the 70s. So this is what always cracks me up. What people maybe don't realize is when I was looking at back when I went to Ohio State, my first year down there was the fall of 75. Ohio State had three out of conference games. This was their out of conference opponents: UCLA, Penn State, North Carolina. That's who they played out of conference.
Yeah. Well, all of them. I mean, Michigan. All of them played.
They
but
all
were
did.
They were better teams, too,
Right.
When they,
right.
They
and when you look at all of those, and I just picked Ohio State out because I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
But all the teams did that.
Yeah.
They all played good out of conference schedules. They were playing legitimate teams.
Yeah.
Now granted, back then, I mean, of those three teams, North Carolina was probably the weaker of the three.
Yeah.
But still, it was a good team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just saying that can't they go back to that?
Yeah, because back then Penn State was the beast.
Penn State
of the
was
East.
good.
They
were the
Eastern
beast,
Conference.
right? That
And
was paternal.
It
was a great game. I went to that game. The Penn State game was a classic game. Ohio State won the game. It was a defensive battle. Two great teams going at it. And the UCLA game, they blew UCLA out in Pasadena, only to go back and lose the Rose Bowl to that same team.
Yeah, and who was that back then coaching then?
Dick Vermeil
Mills.
coached UCLA
Yeah.
during that time frame. And then Woody, I always said had Woody won that game, had Ohio State won that game, I believe Woody Hayes would have retired at 76. That he would have stepped. I think he really would have walked away and gone in, Woody would have gone into something else. But I think he would have stepped away. And sad part is Woody probably did stay too long and should have got out before he did when he was fired. But very, bad way to go out. But the point is, getting back to out of conference schedules back in the 70s, they were good out of conference schedules.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that today.
Well, yeah, because you know what? They wouldn't play a Mid-American team.
They didn't do that.
A Division I AA. They won't play those.
No.
Back then, they played other teams from major conferences.
Right.
Because I remember way back, Michigan State, and I don't think it's Michigan, it's Michigan State. I remember them going and playing Arizona State.
Oh, yeah.
And back then, they had a tough team back there with their teams. Matter of fact, they were an undefeated team back then. And I was like, look at this schedule. I mean, that's how their schedule was, And then after all the money gets involved with all this stuff, you bring in these popcorn teams to play, and this stuff it's not fun. It's not even appealing to watch. I don't watch it when they play those.
No,
teams.
When they play here, 1975, and we'll move on. Michigan's out of conference schedule was Stanford, who they tied 1919, Baylor, who they tied, and they were both home games, 14-14 tie, and then they played Missouri. Yeah, and they were 3 home games. They actually tied the 2, Stanford and Baylor, back when they had ties. But the whole point of it, bottom line, is
But look at those teams.
they played good teams.
Yeah.
And that was what, again,
And Baylor probably was the worst of those teams
that was
back
probably
then.
back then the worst team of the lot.
That was the Southwestern Conference, I think they was
Right.
in back then. So, there was a bottom feeder to that. But Missouri was always in the mix.
Yep.
Because they was in there with the Big 8 back then, I think. And it was Missouri, Colorado, Oklahoma, and Nebraska was your teams every single season. You went at it with those 4 teams.
Oklahoma, Nebraska, Colorado were like the 3 teams in the
Constantly.
Big 8
Yep.
that always kind of were in that mix and dominated the Big 8 back in the 70s. But Oklahoma, Nebraska had the great rival game always around Thanksgiving.
Yep.
To this day, one of the greatest college games was the 71 game that Nebraska beat Oklahoma 35-31 that people, still talk about today.
And I'm trying to think back then.
And that was played, I think, the Friday after Thanksgiving.
I just remember, and maybe I got it wrong, but I used to remember Ohio State and Michigan was at 12. And then the game you talk about would be Nebraska and Oklahoma in the middle, and then UCLA and USC at night. Was them the same? Those 3? I know Ohio State and Michigan, and USC and UCLA. I know that was the same day.
I think,
but there was something in the middle, and I can't remember who it was.
We'll have to look. Well, I'll go back.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I think the Oklahoma game was played the Friday before after Thanksgiving. Then Ohio State played Michigan
on Saturday.
And then USC UCLA was always after that.
Yeah, it's always at night, 8:00.
Yeah,
ABC.
I know they always had it.
I can still remember those games,
and I can remember those games like yesterday. Yeah. UCLA, USC.
It was always a game in the middle.
I still remember I remember watching OJ lose the Heisman Trophy to Gary Beeman, and I was like,
Gary Beeman was
Gary Beeman
wasn't terrible, but he was.
No,
he
didn't. No, he
just
didn't
want to win it.
They gave they weren't going to give it to OJ that year. He was only a junior.
Yep.
They had to wait the next year and give it to him as a senior, and that's what they did. But again, don't even get me going on awards and all that stuff, because it's just, to me, that I don't even want to go about Heisman trophies, because again, Jim Brown didn't get the Heisman Trophy back when he deserved it. They gave it to Paul Hornung, who played for a losing team.
Yeah.
And Jim Brown didn't get the Heisman Trophy because he was black, and that's the reality. That was back in 1950.
7.
Yeah, it might have been 1956.
Yep.
But again, that was the reality of the country back then, and that's what it was like.
Yeah, and every time they played the Packers, the Browns, he wanted to show who's the better back. Him or Paul Hornung.
He's still the greatest runner.
Yeah, they wanted to see who was the best back.
Although
him or Hornung. Hornung was he did a lot of things. He could
great
play quarterback,
good quarterback,
he could do everything.
Could do everything.
But he
was the greatest running back of all time. I know Barry Sanders, though, was in the discussion. Yeah. And Barry Sanders' senior year at Oklahoma State is one for the ages. Yeah. Talked about it, how many yards he had.
Yeah, 2,000.
When I looked it up, he was averaging, we'll get to that number coming up on break, and then we'll get to our NFL football picks. A lot to get to today. But bottom line is, Jim Brown is still the greatest, in my eyes, still the greatest football player ever to play. He's Jim Brown and Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth's the greatest baseball player. Jim Brown's the greatest football player. I know it's old school, but when you look at Babe Ruth's statistics, they're absolutely crazy through the roof. Jim Brown in a 14-game season, and one of the greatest seasons, though, of all time was OJ getting 2,003 yards back in 1973.
Yeah, and if people remember,
OJ was.
I might have it wrong. I might be thinking of the 76 season, but I remember him getting kicked out of a game against the Patriots.
Right.
And I thought it was in that 2000 season that he couldn't, something happened in the game. He got kicked out of the game.
That would have had to be 73.
Yeah.
You have to look that up.
He had a great season in 76 too.
Yeah, he had a great. We'll be coming right back after this. We're halftime of the Saturday Morning Sports Page. Back after this on Western Reserve Radio.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Saturday morning sports page. Pat Lucia, 330-707-4202. Just kind of going back in time a little bit, and then we'll come back to this time. Having a discussion about, I put a post on Facebook that 50 years ago, from January 1st, Ohio State beat USC in the Rose Bowl 42-21. And that was the only Rose Bowl the Big Ten won in the decade of the 1970s. I mean, Pac-12 or it was Pac-8 back then, dominated the Rose Bowl, but Ohio State did break through that day and beat USC. And I know I'll look up numbers, but Pete Johnson was a freshman and had an unbelievable game. Archie Griffin, another great game. Two great running backs just went absolutely wild that day against USC, and Ohio State won 42-21. But I believe the running back at the time for USC, and I think it was Anthony Davis.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Was their running back. But a friend of mine wrote a post at one said, "Did OJ play in that game?" So no, we're off a little bit by 5 years. OJ played in the 69 Rose Bowl that Ohio State won 27-16, giving them the national championship that year too. And OJ did make a great run against Ohio State, like 80 yards, but then after that, they pretty much shut OJ down. And then Ohio State had a great running game and a defense. And Rex Kern was the quarterback, and Ohio State did win that game.
Yep.
But it was just a little history there. But Anthony Davis, I believe, was the running back for the USC Trojans that day in 74. But bottom line is, that's just a little history for Buckeye fans. And speaking of Buckeye fans, let's go to Irish Mike. You're on the sports page. What's up?
Hey, what a great segue that was, Lucia.
Hey, how'd you like that?
That was a good one. You know, my dad passed away 25 years ago, and he was a great college football fan like myself, and I'm gonna make two statements about Ohio State football.
Yes.
Go back to your kind of year growing up. Number one, He always told me the 1969 Ohio State team was better than the 1968 team that won the national title.
Yes.
They got upset by Michigan up in Ann Arbor and Bo Schembechler at the last game of the regular season to throw out that. And then in our lifetime, guys, just most recently, 10 years ago, I contend the 2015 Ohio State team was better than the 2014 national title team. Unfortunately, they got upset at home by Michigan State on that field goal, and they got knocked out of the playoffs. I think sometimes fans are spoiled in regards to understanding. I know everyone wants to win a national title, hold up that trophy, but sometimes it doesn't work out for one reason or another.
Oh no, you need a little luck too.
Yes.
And sometimes the ball just doesn't go quite your way, or the bounce of the ball, and you end up on a short end of a close game. And we've seen that time and time again. That's the thing with college football. You have now that's going to change with the 12 game or 12 team playoff. But back, even when it was 4 teams, you didn't have a lot of room for error. I mean, you can't lose. You couldn't lose a game, or you might be out. 2 games would put you out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we all understood that 2 losses was eliminated. Except I think that 07 season when LSU beat Ohio State, that was just a crazy, wacky year that a bunch of things happened in the last month of the season that none of us anticipated. So that can happen. And Pat, I want to go to conversations you and I had back and forth over the summer, June, July, and August. And most of my very close friends are diehard Ohio State fans. And I had the same conversations with them back in the summertime. And here's the conversation. In regards to Michigan football, I said if Michigan can't win a national championship this year, then when are they going to win one? And why do I say that? Look at that roster, Lucia. Look at that roster. There's a bunch of 5th and 6th year seniors there. A lot of guys who played a lot of Michigan football over the last 3 or 4 years are on that team this year. So this was very much a veteran-laden team that had a lot of skill guys back, that had a lot of guys who played football on both sides of football and in their special teams. And we all looked at their schedule and said their first true test will not come until November 11th when they play Penn State over in Happy Valley. So they're going to be 9-0 going that game. We all knew that back last summer. Looking at their non-conference schedule, we all know was a joke. It was. I mean, and that's not changing. It was a joke. But they won those games. But we could still see they were a really good football team through September and October. And so they met all those challenges, including the most biggest challenge, when they beat Alabama last week to advance to the national title game on Monday night.
Yeah. And they are veteran laden, no question about it.
They are.
It's going to be an interesting game, though.
Oh yeah, no question, Dave. And one of the arguments I had with my friends the last 3 or 4 days, of course, they all hate Michigan and want Michigan to lose by 7 touchdowns, and I understand that. And I said to them, but they brought up the 5th and 6th year seniors. They got guys that are 23, 24 years old playing out there, blah, blah, And I said, well, what do we all love more than anything? We all love March Madness, the NCAA men's basketball tournament, right? And where do all those upsets come from? Those middle-tier schools, Dave Clark, right? Those middle-tier schools that have a bunch of seniors and 5th-year seniors who knock off the perennial powers because they're playing a bunch of 18, 19-year-old McDonald All-American. And we love that, don't we? We embrace it. So why don't we embrace the same thing in college football as well?
Yeah. Well, I don't know why, but that's a true statement. That's for sure. That's definitely a true statement. But, that's one thing that I looked at. They do. They have a veteran team. The big thing for this game for me is it's going to be if the offensive line can protect Penix. I mean, you got 3 wide receivers on a team that I haven't seen that many good receivers on one team since the Minnesota Vikings and Randy Moss, Jake Reed, and Chris Carter. All of them could be number 1 receivers, all 3 of those guys. And the guys they got is like that too. And if they can get open, I think that could be big problems for Michigan. They got to get the Penix. They got to put pressure on them because I don't think Washington can hold Michigan down, but you don't want to get in a shootout though either.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's not the kind of the game that Michigan plays. So if Michigan can run the football, control the clock, and play good defense, I think they can win it. But you got to be able to get
Michigan's
to.
Gonna be physical. We all know.
They got to. They have to.
Michigan, to your point, Michigan has got to do possession control and keep the ball away from Penix. It's almost like the way the Giants beat Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. Buffalo had that high-powered offense. That was what the 91 Super Bowl. They didn't let Jim Kelly on the field very often. Michigan almost has to try to do that where they can't let Michael, because Michael Penix is going to be able. I still think those guys are going to get open. You can throw the ball. You got to keep him off the field if you're Michigan and control the clock and have your offense on the field as long as possible. And if the game gets into a shootout, and Dave said it, it's going to favor Washington. A slow game, a grind game, it'll favor Michigan. And it's like Michael Lombardi was on Mad Dog yesterday, and he compared that to Ali Frazier. He said Ali was like Washington. Move it fast, move around, pop your opponent, get away, where Frazier wanted to get in and get close and pound it out. And that's what he said. Joe Frazier's like Michigan. Ali is like Washington. And it's an interesting comparison. But I could see a lot of that is just that Michael Penix, if he has the opportunity to sit back and throw the ball and they give him time and those wide receivers get the separation, that's going to be the key. Yeah. Is can they get the separation and does Penix have the time? If they give him the time, then Washington, I think, has a shot of winning the game. But if they get up and they get into a lot of pressure on Penix and shake him up and get him out of a comfort zone, then I think Michigan's going to win this.
I've seen, even though they won those games against Oregon, I've seen them do it periodically. Oregon put pressure on him. He threw in the coverage. He made some bad throws, but he was getting pushed off his spot and rushed. And that's what Michigan got to do. They have to be able to do that. He can't just be back there going through progressions and stuff. He do that, it's going to be a long, long night.
And we all know, guys, just based on what we saw Monday night, but they've been this way all year. I remember the Oregon State game, Dave, too, in the run store. They are super aggressive on offense, Washington. The clock management skills at the end of the game need a little work at UW, but rightly or wrongly, fairly or unfairly, they're going to be super, super aggressive.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I mean, I guess they were talking about if the Washington player doesn't get injured, then the clock doesn't stop. And Washington would have, ultimately that ball would have probably not got back to Texas, but that whole clock stoppage at the end, they said they've got to do something with that. I don't know what the solution is, but again,
be addressed, that's for sure.
Yeah, they almost did blow that against Texas,
sure did.
But they hung on, they won the game, and now you've got I think you do have the two best teams going at it.
Yeah, it worked out. It worked out perfectly for them. And
I think we all know if Quentin Ewers would have put a little bit of mustard on that ball, that's a very catchable ball. That was a bad throw in the last play of the game because that guy was open.
He was
open. He missed it.
He missed it.
He flat out. He missed it. Yep.
He missed it.
Yep.
It happens.
Yep. He was definitely open.
Yeah. He's going to be fall in the category when Garoppolo missed, what's his name in the Super Bowl?
Who was that? It wasn't Debo. I forgot who it was.
Or it wasn't Debo. It was Sanders. In the Super Bowl against Kansas City, he was open.
Yeah, and who was the receiver?
Sanders. I think it was Sanders. I've got to look that up.
Yeah, but he was wide
open. And Garoppolo just missed it just by, and not by much.
Yeah, you can't do that. So,
but it happens.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it'll be a good game Monday. The question, Irish Mike, we were talking first hour. Where does Harbaugh go? Does he stay at, what do you think? What are the percentages that Harbaugh goes pro? What do you put it, 70-30? He goes pro, 50-50 pro, or?
I'd put it at 70-30 goes pro, and I think the Los Angeles Chargers are his destination.
Yeah.
Who was that? Los Angeles Chargers.
No, you mean the LA, we call them the San Diego. Yeah. No, they are on the show when we refer to the Chargers.
Yeah.
It's the LA, we call them the San Diego Chargers, or we still call them the San Diego Chargers.
But he needs to go there. I want him to go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get that division going.
Yeah. Right. I think that's what we need to do. I think at the end of the day, if Harbaugh goes to San Diego, he's going to be that'll be a great addition to that division.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll be a great coach, and he could I'm
talent
convinced he could make them a winner right away.
Well, they got talent. We know what he did with talent
Yep.
at San Fran.
Yep.
So can you imagine what he do with them?
Yeah. What he could do is he's got the talents there, and they're going to have a high draft pick.
And if Pierce can keep the Raiders moving in the right way, and they do keep him, then you got Peyton, who knows how to change the team too, and then you have Reed, who's already there. So we know what Kansas City could be. That could be a great division.
Yeah. That might be one of the best divisions going on.
Yeah, it could. It's
And
by the
you
coaching.
can say if I think the Raiders right now, I would think it's better than 50% chance the Raiders basically are going to go ahead
and get Pierce.
and
Just go
keep
through
Pierce,
the formalities.
Antonio Pierce.
Yeah,
I
they
think
got to bring
could,
people in, so they got to go through that.
But no, I guess they do have to, right?
Yeah, they have to do that.
They do, but I think at the end of the day, I think Mark Davis has learned.
Yeah, he should have.
And I think he's going to take Antonio, keep Antonio
I'm sure
Pierce.
The Harbaugh thing is something he's going to be thinking about hard, but I think this time you just got to buy.
That would be the only.
Hey, that's the only one. That's
only
the
one to unseat him.
Yeah, I don't think anything else but Harbaugh.
Right.
Hey, I'll throw you guys a question. I asked my friends this week because I like to put people in very uncomfortable spots because I like when people just tell the truth. Both Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh have professional backgrounds. Harbaugh more than Day because obviously Harbaugh was the head coach in the NFL one time, but Day was an assistant for a few years with the Eagles and 49ers.
Right.
But if you were a major college football program hiring a head coach right now, who would you hire, Jim Harbaugh or Ryan Day?
Oh, Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh.
No, it's not
if
even
you're
close.
A professional football team, an NFL team, and you were hiring a head coach, who would you hire, Jim Harbaugh or Ryan Day?
Well, Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh. It's not,
there you go. There you go.
I mean, I don't really think it's close.
No. My buddy's Himhan. Come on, man. I know you don't like the guy and you don't like Michigan, but he does a hell of a job.
Yes,
leave the personality out.
Yeah. I mean, forget that. That's how I am about whatever team I like. I'm going to tell you the truth about them. They stink and they stinking.
Yeah.
And that's all it is about it. And
it's pretty simple sometimes.
Right. I mean, it's just simple. The stuff that some people be saying. I mean, Harbaugh's
a great coach.
Man. Seriously.
He turned that team. He made Michigan like an NFL team.
He made Stanford.
And he made Stanford a great team.
Yeah. And you know what?
And San Diego State.
Well, no, San Diego University.
Yeah, that's it. San Diego University. Yeah. That's right. He was it right.
They weren't even known.
No.
And look what he did with them.
Right. You're right.
No, he's a great coach.
Yeah.
Harbaugh's last year at Stanford, they played Notre Dame and South Bend, and they beat him 37-14. That was Brian Kelly's first year. And Kelly walked off the field that day with the Notre Dame athletic director and pointed at the Stanford team and said, that's exactly how we have to build our team right there.
Yeah.
Basically saying they're big and strong and physical on the offensive line and defensive line.
That's Harbaugh.
And,
and that's what he does.
The line of scrimmage. They're never going to do a lot of fancy stuff, but just the football fundamentals are what's there to make them a successful program.
If he goes to the Chargers, watch how physical that football team will
be. It'd be 180 degrees.
He goes to the Chargers, watch. They've been a finesse team. Watch. If there is some finesse guys, they'll be out. They won't be on the roster no more.
He'll turn that around because that's what he made. I never saw Alabama's line get dominated like Michigan dominated them in that game.
It's hammering.
And Michigan didn't have their best offensive line.
Right.
Remember, he got hurt in the Ohio State game. The kid tore up his knee.
The kid tore up his knee. They didn't have the best lineman. And that first half, Michigan should, and they know that, they should have been up by a lot more points than what were they up by 3 at half. They should have been up by 10 at least. And Michigan didn't, the special teams killed Michigan. And Alabama, Alabama had them on the ropes and probably could have and should have won the game. I think Nick Saban, I think, knows that. He let it slip away. But Harbaugh was clearly, though, physicality, the better team watching the game. And that's the only thing that's going to.
We all acknowledge that Jim Harbaugh coached Nick Saban. I think everybody's acknowledged that big time.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? Something I've seen that you pointed out, Irish Mike, the veteran of the team, because when the going got tough and it got sticky, I didn't see any type of jittering on the side of Michigan.
No.
These guys was calm, didn't even worry about how much time left, nothing. You didn't see any kind of this anything going on with it. Just steady, just stay steady. That shows a veteran team and a well coached team. And man, that's sometimes that is hard to beat when you get them all on a cycle like that. And that's how they work.
And you know what's interesting to me, Pat, is the fact that you talk to players at Stanford with his 49ers and Michigan. All the players love Harbaugh. I remember when he was with the 49ers, they had an offensive lineman, the guy started 4 years at Ohio State, named Alex Boone.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Boone said multiple times Jim Harbaugh is the best coach he ever played for. He loved Harbaugh.
Yeah.
So he was great.
And I mean, and that's
so he's
right.
got that quirky personality that most fan bases can't stand. Say that guy's strange, he's unusual, he's a little weird. But the players all love him.
Yeah, see, I was going to say, that's what people look at, and that's fans. They don't understand how the relationship of a player and coaches, you'll look at some coaches and say, how can you play for a guy? And those be the type of guys you like. Just something about them that gets you going. You just love guys like that. And I don't understand, but like I said, they're fans. They don't understand it. They can't get that same feel.
Well, and that's kind of what it is. I mean,
they don't understand it. They don't.
You got to give Harbaugh all the props in the world. And I mean, he's a great coach. And if I'm an NFL team, I go after him.
Yeah.
Because he took the same team Mike Singletary had in San Francisco, and the same next year he got them into the conference. Must have lost Irish Spike. Just buzzed back. He basically got them within one play of a Super Bowl. He got him into the conference final and lost to the Giants in, I think, overtime, a conference final game that the Giants won and then went on to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But he fought, and he had the same team that was 5-11.
Yeah.
And just came in and made whatever changes. And they say he's a culture guy. He doesn't get into the calling and the nickel, and he lets the assistants do their job, but he changes the culture. And he's able to basically make teams really better. I mean, he did that 1 year.
Yeah. That's why when I look at coaches that do that, they allow their coaches to coach. That's why I like Mike Tomlin. Just stay in. They say, well, Mike Tomlin is terrible. Mike Tomlin lets his coaches coach.
He does.
And he give them as much time as they can. And if they hang themselves, then they hang themselves, he get rid of them. But other than that, he let his coaches coach.
Speaking of that,
and where is he going?
I got news for you. Well,
look for extension in a few weeks from now.
That's the whole I said it last week, and I'll say it again this week.
That shouldn't even be a playoff. That shouldn't even be a team that's near a playoff.
He's getting, when he goes in to talk to Rooney, or Rooney's going to go in and talk to him, he's not going anywhere. B, he's getting a contract extension. Rooney's not letting him leave.
I mean, it'd be dumb.
Not happening.
The guy is an excellent
coach. Rooney will not let Tomlin leave. Tomlin will have to fight, and Tomlin would almost have to tell him, look, I believe he's got a year left on the contract. The only way he's going to leave is he goes to Rooney. Rooney would say, well, I want to give you a contract extension, but if you're going to leave, you're going to have to coach here next year, then leave. Because he's not letting him out of the contract. I don't think Rooney's letting him go.
Yeah, there would have to be some strange phenomenon for it to happen. That guy.
Tomlin would have to go into Rooney's office and demand he leave because Rooney's not letting him leave. In fact, Rooney's probably going to hand him a contract extension.
Yeah, I'll just listen to all those people that was get rid of him, fire him. That was like a month ago, and they was going crazy. For one thing, he had he's not a rookie, but Kenny Pickett, he has to, get up to standards, and that's going to take time.
I got news for Kenny Pickett. If Mason Rudolph plays another game like he's played, guess who's going to be your starter next year?
Well, they better sign if they can sign him. He's free.
Well, he's free,
and he's getting great tape to where he can say, "I'm out of here," because they didn't even want to look at him.
No,
but Mike Tomlin even said it. The guys play great. He'll be a guy you sign. You might want to sign all of them, and then one of them would get cut, and that should be Trubisky. I always said that.
Yeah,
I always thought Mason. That's why I said the one day in the show. I said, I think he's better than him because I've seen other bits and pieces. You see Rudolph play good, but I don't know if it's the helmet to the head from which go, but he didn't do well after that.
Maybe it's the coordinator change.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
But this guy is not scared. He goes right down the field throwing the ball.
Mason Rudolph looks like an entirely different
Completely.
player
Yep.
under maybe the coordinator. I don't know if it's got anything to do. All I know is that Mason Rudolph, to me, if he goes out, we'll get to in fact, might as well get to our picks now. If Mason Rudolph goes out and beats the Ravens today and they get in the playoffs, they're going to need help, though. They need a Jacksonville loss, a Buffalo loss to get in. Pittsburgh does. But the point is, if Mason Rudolph goes out, they win, they go to 10-7, and they get a break and they get in the playoffs and they say like they win a playoff game or two. Mason Rudolph might be your guy next year. And then you're going to have to sign him and keep him because I think right now they play better with Mason Rudolph than Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
What I've seen this year, and I know it's only a couple games. I don't want to overreact, but I'm just saying.
Well, 2 games. He did a great job.
That team looks totally different.
Yeah.
Under Mason Rudolph.
Well, they said he's not scared to go down the field.
No.
He throws
it down the field.
And that made their whole offense open up.
Totally different.
You got to get George Pickens the ball down the field.
And that's what he does.
Yep.
Rudolph just goes, and he knows it. It's just like, it's not like a secret. And it gets into this whole crap about teams and stealing signals. That's all crap. Get the ball to your best player. Pickens is your best wide receiver.
Yeah.
And Johnson.
Yeah.
One of the two. But if you're he throws the ball and he knows.
Knowing that he's a threat. Right. Now Johnson underneath, and he's so elusive that if he catch the ball in space and you give him space, he'll make people miss and make big plays
too. And Rudolph does that. He knows who to get the ball to.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's the best quarterback going right now.
Right. It's not like, it's not guessing. You know what he's going to do.
He asked for his release, and they said that Tomlin told him, well, I'm not releasing you.
No.
It was early in the season. He said, no, I'm not. I believe that you can still play this position. And they said that Rudolph said, I know I can play this position, but he's not, he's a third team guy. Sometimes he didn't even dress.
Right.
But Tomlin said he wasn't letting him go. Wasn't going to release him.
Well,
wouldn't give him a release. And that right there is enough to show you that
was a good move.
He knew that this guy still could play.
That was a good move.
And he did need him.
Let's, we're coming up on, we're getting into the fourth quarter. We're late third quarter here in the show. We got to get to the picks. This is going to be a crazy weekend because a lot of these games, some of the games don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Players are playing for pride. There's Irish Mike. Hey, Irish Mike.
Sorry about this, guys. I lost connection with you.
Oh, that's okay.
I have a question for you. I mean, at the end of the day, who do you guys like in the game Monday night? Like, what is your prediction for the outcome of the game?
Well, I'm going with Washington, and the only reason why I'm going to Washington is they're kind of the Rodney Dangerfield. They don't get a lot of respect. I like Penix. I think I'll go with Washington because I'm rooting for them. I want them to win. I think Michigan will probably win, but I'll take Washington because they were, a double-digit underdog to Oregon in the conference final, and they beat them. So I'll take Washington.
What is the total in this one? I mean,
4.5 points. Washington gets 4.5.
Yeah. And I think, Pat, when they played Oregon the first time in early October up in Seattle, we all thought that Washington was very fortunate to win that game. So when the rematch came 2 months later, we all expected Oregon to win because they were on a roll.
Yeah.
You remember 2 weeks earlier, they had to play Oregon State in Corvallis.
Yeah.
Everybody was picking Oregon State to win. Do you remember? Because Washington, their bubble's going to burst. Oregon State's a really good football team. Washington's on the road. They're going to beat, and they beat Oregon State.
Since you're on, who do you think is let's do the pick. Who do you think is going to win?
Oh boy. I said all summer long, Lucia, if Michigan can't win a national championship this year, when can they win it? So I'm going to go with Michigan.
Yeah, probably you lay 4.5. Dave Clark.
Yeah, I just think
4.5.
I think they're going to be too physical up front. Washington defense is, for lack of a better phrase, I think it's okay.
Right.
It's not good. It's not great. It's okay. And I just think that Michigan will bully them around the line of scrimmage like they bullied Alabama.
Yeah.
I just think they'll keep. I'm going to take the 4.5.
Me too.
Washington, but I still think Michigan might win
but won't cover.
might not cover because I think just the way they play the game, they'll keep it where it's going to be
Penix
nip
is going to
and tuck.
keep it close because he can throw the ball down the field and make a play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Hold on, Irish Mike. All right, Saturday morning sports page. We'll get to the fourth quarter. Little Irish Mike, and then we'll get these NFL picks out of the way. Saturday morning sports page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. Quick timeout.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
So why do teenagers play high school sports?
My reason why is a sense of purpose.
My reason why is to inspire others.
One reason student athletes seldom mention is to get an athletic scholarship. They know that only 2% of all high school athletes are awarded a sports scholarship. So why do they play?
My reason why is friendship.
Tell us your reason using the hashtag #MyReasonWhy.
This message presented by the NFHS and the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Saturday morning sports page coming right back at you. Let's go ahead, get Irish Mike in here. And before we get to Irish Mike, I do want to give you just a recap of the 74 Rose Bowl that Ohio State did win. Just a quick, give you an idea of the stats. Cornelius Screen, the Ohio State quarterback, was the MVP, Dave Clark. He was 6 for 9 in passing, 6 for 8 in passing, 129 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Archie Griffin ran for 149 yards and a touchdown. Pete Johnson carried 97 yards and had 3 touchdowns. So that's that. That was the Buckeyes. Irish Mike.
Yep.
You're
There you
back.
go, buddy.
There you go.
Hey, one last thing before I let you go. I know you guys want to do your pro picks.
Yeah.
You know, it was announced yesterday or the day before that Will Howard is transferring
Yes.
from Kansas State to Ohio State now. And obviously Kyle McCord is gone. And don't you think, Pat, a little bit, I know you've gone over this for the last several years, until the last 5 years when you had Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, and now, C.J. Stroud, were all first-round draft picks. Ohio State struggled for many decades to find quarterbacks.
Yes, they
Especially
did.
Quarterbacks who were successful in the NFL. Now, tragically, Dwayne Haskins got killed, but his
Yes.
NFL career was a little bit shaky off their start, bouncing around from team to team. But I'm not sure what's going to happen with Justin Fields in Chicago. If you told me about one off season that I'm intrigued by, and I don't care about the Bears either way, it's what the decision is going to be on Justin Fields, because you're going to have the number 1 pick.
Yep.
And you can either boatload for that pick, or you could take Caleb Williams out of USC. That's obviously an organizational decision they have to make.
Yep.
I was watching Mangini on ETV with Colin Cowherd yesterday, and Mangini said last year with the first pick, when the Bears had the first pick, he would not have traded it. He would have taken C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State, and he would have traded Justin Fields away. So that's what Mangini said yesterday on Colin Cowherd. So he said he would most definitely take Caleb Williams out of USC and trade Fields away. So I don't know what the Bears are going to do. But then obviously you have Stroud down with Houston Texans. So I think Ohio State fans have been spoiled with their quarterback position over the last 5 or 6 years. And I'm not saying Will Howard's not a good football player, but he's really no different than what you already had and Kyle McCord, to be honest with you.
He almost the same type.
Yes.
I mean, I watched Howard at Kansas State because I always like Kansas State.
Yep.
He's a guy that's in the pocket. You know where he's at. That's where he's at, in the pocket. So it's, but I mean, hey, he can throw the football. So, I don't know if that's going to be a big difference. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make, but they needed a quarterback. That's for sure. And from what we seen the other day, the young guy looked like he could be something as he
Well,
get
I
more
like
experience.
the young guy. The problem I had with Ohio State, what happened to the did they forget how to pass block? I mean, seriously, the backup Kindheinz wasn't bad once he kind of got into the game, but they weren't blocking. He was getting tattooed a few times. Nobody was touching the defensive end or the linebacker coming in from the one side.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I kept yelling and screaming. I go, where's your pass blocking? What's the scheme?
I think we'd all be surprised, Pat, if Justin Fry, the offensive line coach, lasted throughout the weekend at Ohio State. I wouldn't be surprised by Monday or Tuesday if we saw change there, an offensive line coach.
Oh, well, yeah, you have to.
You got to do something. Was it a? Did they have the injuries? Were out of sync? Did they not read defenses?
Well,
did they
Matt
not?
Jones moved to center. Heisman, the regular center all year, was a healthy scratch. There's been a lot of rumors on the internet, like what happened. I heard he was having issues snapping the ball in practice leading up to the Cotton Bowl, and they got a little nervous with bad snaps. All of the Alabama center, who's now in the transfer portal, and also that he did a podcast about a week ago or a couple days before the ball game saying they only practiced 6 times for the Cotton Bowl, and some guys were not getting the NIL money they were promised, and there was issues with the NIL, and the administration was not happy with that podcast. They deleted it immediately, but a lot of people saw it, because it was out for a day or so. So, I have friends who cover the team, and they've heard different things, and they have not been able to verify why Heisman was healthy scratch at center.
You know what?
Matt Jones moved, 6-year senior Matt Jones moved from right guard to starting center, and that's where he's projected to play in the NFL as like a 4th or 5th round draft pick. He's one of those day 3 guys, Dave with one of those late kind of picks. And then the right guard was brand new as a 3rd-year sophomore, and like you said, he was awful, Patty. He wasn't bad; he was awful,
just terrible.
And the right tackle had a long night too. That right side of the offensive line was
crushed
against Missouri. Was really, really bad.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't care who your quarterback is. If you can't get the line right, Johnny Unitas is going to help you. You can't, that's what I say about. I thought I was watching the New York Giants. That bowl game. I thought, but these guys, that offensive line is playing like the New York Giant offensive line. They don't block anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the quarterbacks are a run for their lives. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that at the end of the day, he's got to figure some stuff out, either on a scheme, coach, talent-wise, and figure it out, because that offensive line played a horrible game. And I don't care who your quarterback's going to be. Unless you got a quarterback that can run around and they're not real mobile quarterbacks, they're going to have a rough season. He's got 6, 8, 9 months to figure this out.
My buddy sent me something, Pat, probably about 3 or 4 days before Kyle McCord announced he was going to the transfer portal. He sent me comparable statistics, 2 quarterbacks to compare them. And one was Kyle McCord's 2023 season at Ohio State, and the other one was Joey Burrow's first season at LSU in 2018. Not his second year, but his first year.
Right.
And McCord's numbers were way better than Joey Burrow's. And he said sometimes a quarterback just needs games under his belt to get going.
That's what I thought.
When McCord entered the portal 4 days later, I texted him at 6:30 in the morning. He lives down in Dayton. And he was surprised as anybody. He goes, I did not hear that from anybody. That is news to me. And he said that it was true. And this caught the Ohio State coaching staff a little bit off guard.
Yeah, and going to Syracuse isn't. I don't understand why he's going there.
know.
I mean, that place
And that's what my buddies say. If he was so good, how come Alabama didn't want him?
Right.
How come LSU didn't want him? How come Georgia didn't want him? How come Notre Dame didn't want him? If Kyle McCord was that good, how come other schools didn't want him? Is their comeback?
That's what I mean. I can't. Right.
Yeah.
I don't get any of it. I don't get this on any level.
Now, when he entered the portal, Ohio State immediately contacted two quarterbacks, Riley Leonard from Duke and Will Howard from Kansas State. And at that point in time, when you get caught off guard, I think Notre Dame had decided in late October, early November, they're going to pursue a quarterback. You can't be late to the show, Lucia. I mean, you got to get out there and get those feelers out, those buffers. You know how those buffers go? I feel like the Godfather movie. Those buffers. You know what I mean? And and that's how this works, right? Most kids enter the portal, Dave Clark, knowing where they're going already. Am I wrong?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Usually.
I mean, that's they already know.
Usually.
They already know.
Yep. They have a good idea. Just got to get some T's crossed, as they say. That's all. Some I's dotted, and they'll be
that's
ready.
All.
Yep.
And that's the way that works. You got to that contacts, and they inquired about Riley Leonard, but he was too far down the road with Notre Dame, and that's when they made a big push for Will Howard over the last 3 weeks.
Yep.
Right.
And that's the way that works in the 2024 college football world, and it ain't changing.
Nope.
It ain't changing.
Not anytime soon, man.
I will let you guys go. Happy New Year to both of you and your families, and I'll listen to your pro picks, and you gentlemen have a great weekend.
Thanks,
all right,
Irish.
you too.
See you. All right, Dave Clark. Today's game, Steelers at the Ravens. The Ravens are getting 3 points. Ravens are playing nobody. They're resting everybody pretty much. Steelers have to win the game. We've talked about it.
Still hard because it doesn't matter who's playing for the Ravens.
They're going to play. They're going to. I mean, the Ravens are going to play.
They're going to go.
The backups are still going to go out there and play like it was their Super Bowl.
And everybody can't sit. Now that's
no.
People got to remember that it's going to be still some
Lamar Jackson sitting.
Yeah,
he's
you can't mess with that.
No,
but that offensive line, defensive line will be out there, most of them. So, man. 3 points. I think that's what it's going to be, a 3 point. That's how their games are.
It could be a push.
Who's getting the 3? Baltimore?
The Ravens. I'm taking the Steelers because
I think
they need to win the game.
Yep.
They've got all the on the line.
Yeah,
everything's on the line here for the Steelers. They know they have to win this game. Baltimore, you're going to backups. The backups will go out and play very hard. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the team that needs to win. And I think that's what the difference is going to be. I'll take the Steelers. Are you?
Yeah, I mean, 3
points. It has push written all over
I think
it.
it's going to happen. So
but,
I don't think I'll lose it anyway. So, let's take Pittsburgh. And they're going to Baltimore, right?
Yes. Today at 4:30 on ABC
and they always
and ESPN.
Split. Baltimore,
they usually
who won the
split.
first game?
Pittsburgh. This would be a sweep.
It's messing me up.
That was a sweep because that was the game that Lamar Jackson, they dropped so many passes for Lamar Jackson in the end zone.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Baltimore outplayed Pittsburgh, should have won by 2 touchdowns and lose a game that they really should have won because they outplayed Pittsburgh. But the receivers had a bad case of the drops that day. Lamar was throwing the ball where it needed to be thrown. Those guys were just not catching it.
Man, this is a hard one for me. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go Baltimore.
You're gonna go? Okay.
I'm getting points, right?
You get 3.
I'm gonna take it.
Okay. I take the Steelers because
they have to win.
They got to win it.
I
Mason Rudolph is playing good. I think it's just an urgency thing. One team needs it more than the other. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to the night game. Big game tonight at 8:15, and get another game on ESPN and ABC. Texans are at the Colts. Now, this is interesting. The Colts are actually getting 1.5 points. So it's an almost even pick game.
I'm a still take.
So who do you want? You want the
Take
Texans?
traveling Houston.
Oh, now
Texans.
it's 2.5.
It's 2.5.
Houston, yeah, Houston. It's 2.5 now. It went up a point. So
Indianapolis getting 2.5.
Yeah. The Colts get 2.5.
I'm still go with CJ Stroud in the traveling Houston Texans.
I'll take the Texans and Stroud on the road in the dome. So no weather involved. Let's move on to the Browns at the Bengals. This is 7 points now. That was 7 points. Actually, the Browns get 7 points. They're resting pretty much everybody on this team. I think I'm going to go. The only reason why I would be taking, usually the Browns own the Bengals, and if the Browns needed this game, if the NFL needs to reseed these teams, like the Browns are 11-5, they should get a home game in the playoffs, but they won't because they'll have to go to a division winner with a worse record on the road, and I think the NFL needs to change that.
Yeah.
The division winners, if they have a worse record than the wild card team gets the home game.
Yeah. They probably never do it.
They're never going to do it.
Yeah.
But they talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard.
They should.
Mad Dog was talking about it, and Michael Lombardi was they were in agreement. They need to reseed.
Well, they should. They should because they have earned it through the season. So,
and it would make this game mean more if the Browns knew 12-5. If they go 12-5, they could get 2 home games. They might play everybody. They might actually play more people here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it could change some of these games, but the Browns know that's not the case.
And they giving how much they giving Cincinnati?
7.
I mean, Cincinnati giving them 7?
No, Cincinnati is giving the Browns 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Cincinnati.
Me too. I think because bottom line, the Bengals will play to win. They're going to play hard. The Browns are just going down there, not get hurt, play the game. And I go, now the next one's a big one. Vikings are at the Lions. The Lions with that stupid call with the whole thing on Saturday night. We didn't even really get into that. What is the NFL? That was terrible.
Yeah.
The lineman didn't report, but on the video you see that he did, and the referee evidently didn't hear him. I kept thinking of Seinfeld and the low talker. I mean, come on.
He didn't hear him.
The referees evidently didn't hear him reporting. Usually they make a big production out of that where the referee says, okay, they say so-and-so is reporting, as a lineman, as a receiver, whatever the way. They didn't do that. And then you could see on the tape that the lineman went over to him and said that he was reporting, and the referee didn't hear it. And that's so ridiculous.
Well, I mean, that's what makes it suspicious. That's what hurt things.
You're right.
If I see a player coming towards me anyway,
right?
Why is he walking over here?
Exactly.
And you done been a ref for so long, you know that he's a lineman. What does he do? Okay, he's got something to tell. Man, that makes it look like it's fixed. And that's the part that you don't like. And that call, that did it right there.
Oh, that did it in. I know.
People don't want to hear all they saying Detroit quit all the crying and stuff. Well, that was a terrible call.
This game means a lot to both teams. Obviously, the Lions obviously want to win this game to go to 12-5. Now, they can't get the home field. But if they won the game last week and won this game, they would get home field.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. Minnesota still has a shot at a playoff berth. So Minnesota still, they need a Green Bay loss and a Seattle loss and a Tampa Bay loss.
And they put Nick Mullins back in, right?
Yeah. Or they need Green Bay, Seattle, or a New Orleans loss, and they can still get in. So Minnesota has an outside shot at getting in here. Remote, but we've seen crazy stuff happen. So anyway, Minnesota is at the Lions. It's 3.5. They get 3 and a hook at on the road. So do you want Minnesota at 3 and a hook?
And they're at Detroit.
Yeah,
right.
It's at Detroit.
It's hard, man, to take.
Does Detroit? I watched Minnesota Sunday night. Their quarterback play though is.
Well, that was who they had. That's the problem, you know.
They tried. I'm
just 3.5. I'm taking Detroit.
Yeah. I'll take Detroit because I think they need to win. Let's move on to the Jags are at the Titans. This is another game that has got a lot of playoff implications. The Jags could potentially end up. They need to win because they could end up being out of the playoffs potentially.
Yeah, I know.
So they're not. They don't have it locked up here.
They're giving up 5
and they're getting up. Let me make sure I had it right. This was 3? Did it go up any? It was 3.5. Did they put? Yeah, 3.5. 4. Jacksonville lays 4 points to the Titans. The Titans.
I'm gonna take Jacksonville because they have to win this.
Yeah, this is a tough game because it's 4 points. Can the Titans keep it close? And I don't trust the Jags at all. But I agree with you. I'll take Jags too. Maybe change to Titans. Let's get to the Jets and the Patriots. I know these teams have nothing to play for.
Right.
The Jets get 2 points on the road. Belichick has owned the Jets forever.
That's why I'm just going to take them just
Me
because
too.
of that.
Because I don't think the Patriots are losing, and the Patriots aren't tanking.
No.
That team is not. Belichick's going to coach. I think Belichick knowing this could be his last game in New England, he wants to go out a winner.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take Belichick. Let's move on to the Falcons at the Saints.
That's a good one.
This is really a good one because both these teams are in play for a potential wild card shot. And New Orleans is basically laying 3 points to the Falcons. Falcons on the road in New Orleans, they get 3 points. The Falcons can still get in.
Yeah, I know.
They're
They
7-9,
can.
but they can. Yeah, both these teams are still in play here.
Yeah, because if New Orleans wins and
Tampa Bay loses, they get in.
Yeah, they're in there.
But the Falcons can get in. They beat the Saints, and then if Tampa Bay loses, I think the Falcons get in.
Yeah, through the tiebreaker.
Because
they all would be 8-9.
Right, they'd all be 8-9.
It's big. It's a big game.
So this is a big game. So the Falcons, even having the wild season that they've had, which has sometimes been way up and down, to say the least.
I know.
They got drilled last week by the Chicago Bears 37-17. They were never in the game.
Atlanta.
I don't think Atlanta didn't. I don't think they wanted to go up there.
Indianapolis. They destroyed them.
And they destroyed Indy the
week before. I don't know what to get.
This is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Well, maybe this is a good week, so I'm going to take Atlanta. It seems like that's how they play every other week.
You're right. And the Saints went up to Tampa Bay and beat them 23-13 in a game you can't figure out because it's like Tampa Bay had the game to win it and sew it up. They couldn't do it.
I know.
I'll go the other direction. I'll take the Saints at home. 2 dome teams playing one another. I'll take the Saints. I think the Saints are playing a little hair better, but you're right. The Falcons could go win by 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Okay, this is a big game. Another one. 1:00, Buccaneers at the Panthers. This one is now 4.5. 4.5. The Panthers are getting 4.5 at home. Tampa Bay, it's going to be 45 degrees and looks like cloud.
Now, it's hard. But that Carolina, like I said, they playing harder. They play hard, and what you call is getting better. Is Young. He's been playing real good these last few weeks, looking like an NFL quarterback. It took some time, but now you see it. You see the talent. Tampa is just so up and down.
I'll take the Buccaneers.
You said 4.5?
4.5. I might regret
and
it.
At home, right?
But they're at home. Panthers are at home. It's going to be a tough nut because
it is. I'm going to take them because they got to win this now. But I do believe if they lose, I do believe Todd Bowles is getting fired.
I do too.
Yeah, I think he has.
Ira Kaufman, who's the writer down there in Tampa, he was on Mad Dog Russo, said that. He says if Tampa Bay blows this game to the Panthers, he believes Todd Bowles will be fired.
Especially after you had a chance to lock it up.
Last week. 2 straight weeks and you blew 2 games.
I think he's done.
Do you want the Bucs then?
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. They got to
lay
win
the points.
I'm just going on that.
Here's another biggie. The Bears are at the Packers,
and
the Bears get 3 points on the road, 425, and the Bears are playing like a whole different team. And the Green Bay had a big win last week against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, 33-10. And like I previously said, the Bears basically just crushed the Falcons. I mean, that wasn't even much of a game at all. They won 37-17. So the Bears are on a roll, but it's in Lambeau. But to the Bears, I don't think the Bears care where they play. They're playing good. And he's got that team clicking on all cylinders now.
How many points Chicago getting?
3.
I'm taking Green Bay.
All right.
Jordan, the quietly, Jordan Love has had a great season. People don't realize he's thrown 30
No,
touchdowns.
he's playing good.
I didn't even know that.
I'm going to take the Bears and the points. I think it has push written all over it. I did this before and got burned because they got blown out by the Packers first game of the season. But I think this is a whole different Bear team, and they're playing like they really have they're playing for Justin Fields and the coach. The team loves Justin Fields. The team loves him, and they want to win for Justin. They have like a bottom line. They're like playing for something. They have no playoffs in their picture, but they're playing for the quarterback who they really like and their coach who evidently really like him too. Let's move on to the Broncos at the Raiders. And Raiders are giving the Broncos 3 points. This is a nothing game. I think the Raiders are playing for their coach.
That's why I'm going to take the Raiders.
Yeah, me too. I'll take the Raiders at home and lay the 3 points to the Broncos. Eagles are at the Giants. This is a weird game. Eagles are basically getting the actually the Giants are plus 5.5. So the Giants are getting 5.5 points.
The 5.5.
You want the Giants?
5.5. Yep.
Yeah, I think I like the Giants in the 5.5. I don't think the Eagles are going to. I think they're going to win, but they're not going to cover. Right. Seahawks are at the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are getting 3 points.
And it's big for Seattle. Still can get in the playoffs.
Seattle has a shot. They're still in the playoff discussion.
Yep.
The Eagles are in the Eagles are in a wild card. They haven't clinched, but they could. If Dallas loses to the Commanders on the road, Eagles beat the Giants.
They win the division.
But if their scoreboard Washington see Dallas is up 28-0 over the Commanders first quarter, Eagles might pull everybody and rest everybody. They don't know what.
Yeah, they play at different times,
right?
Too, don't they? Or is it the same?
No,
time?
They both play at 4:25.
Okay,
but they may scoreboard watch. You don't know what you're getting. But getting back to the Seahawks at the Cardinals.
I'm gonna take.
They still have. The Seahawks still have a shot at getting in there.
Yep. Oh
it's not impossible.
No, they got Green Bay's got to get beat by Chicago. I know that's one of the scenarios. So I'm gonna take Seattle.
Yeah, they win. They need a Green Bay loss, a Tampa Bay or Green Bay and Tampa Bay loss, or Green Bay and New Orleans loss, and a Seattle tie. No, if Seattle wins, if it's a Seattle win, Green Bay loses, they get in.
Yep.
They're not going to tie. So bottom line,
I'm gonna take Seattle.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks need this a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Let's get to the Chiefs are at the Bolts. This game doesn't mean anything. It's 3.5.
Oh man,
Bolts get 3 or actually the Bolts lay 3.5. If I see this right.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
and Blaine Gabbert is starting, and they're playing backups.
They're playing backups and resting everybody.
I'm gonna still take them though.
Yeah, I think
for next year.
I'll take the Chiefs just because I think the Chargers are checked out. They're waiting for the new coach to show up. Rams are at the 49ers. This game means nothing.
Yeah.
49ers lay 4 points. McVay's playing nobody.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody. He's resting. He's not, and he doesn't care about the wild. He already said
they can be 6 or 7.
Yeah, but they don't care.
Yeah, no.
He's
got a veteran team that will be ready for whatever they.
He wants to rest all those veterans who are getting rested.
They are a dangerous football team.
They are
going to play them. But be ready to play.
I'll only take the 49ers and lay 4 points because I think the Rams are just basically.
Yeah, I'm taking 49ers too.
Let's get on to the Washington. This is a big game. The Cowboys at Washington minus 13. Big number. Washington gets 13. Dallas on the road, though.
And they're going to play their guys because they're trying to win the
division. They got to win the division. Yeah. They got to play.
Oh, yeah, they on the road.
And it's 13 points on the road they're laying.
Washington's just been stinking up.
But Washington stinks.
Yeah, I'm just taking Dallas. If I lose, I just lose.
Let's go to the last game. Buffalo at Miami, 2.5.
This is a very 2.5. Buffalo win the division.
Yeah, Buffalo wins the division or Miami wins the division.
I'm taking Buffalo.
Me too. Bills. That's the Saturday morning sports page, folks. Enjoy Enjoy your week. Do not drink. Do not drive. Buckle up. Get an Uber. Stay safe out there if you're going to drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. You have to get an Uber. Be safe. Saturday Morning Sports Page.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge, a part of the Sports Map Radio Network.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable. But how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. And they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Miss an episode of By All Means, and you can miss a lot.
To the radio play-by-play voice at our buddy back from here at Youngstown, it is the voice Fitz. Everett Fitzhugh. My friend, how are you?
Man, it feels good to hear your voice again, Mark. Everything's going well, and definitely excited to be back on the airwaves briefly for here in Youngstown.
By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio and streaming live on westernreserveradio.com.
This is Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms, and your home for Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio.
Care. So for me, I'm like, okay, I can't really handicap this. I certainly don't trust the Chargers. You know, they're not playing very good. I know they've been in preseason mode the last 3 weeks, but that being said, there's no way I'm playing them. So I'm not playing them. I'm not playing the Chiefs because even when the Chiefs had their starters on the field, they weren't playing good. So, like, now comes Blaine Gabbert. Last time I saw Blaine Gabbert, he was throwing interceptions much like Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones. So how do you take that one? This game, the clock's going to continue to run. I think it's one of those games you just got to stay away from. I know there's sharp money. The line moved from 1 to 3.5. God bless you if you take this game. God bless you. I wish you all the best of luck.
Chiefs Chargers, the Week 18 Hall & Oates play of the week.
I can't go for that. No can do.
I completely agree with you. I can never. I can never with this game. It's either you're taking Gabbert or you're laying 3.5 with Easton Stick. All right, the line of the week in the NFC North. I think this might be the game I'm most looking forward to outside of Bills Dolphins all day long here. Bears at the Packers. Green Bay laying 3.
Well, look, Green Bay's the healthiest they've been all year today. They're going to win the game. They'll have all their defensive guys. We think Campbell's going to play. Walker's going to play. Alexander's back from his suspension. Hopefully not out at the coin toss. Their offensive line, their quarterback is playing at a much higher level that he played in week 1. Much higher level. I think he's outstanding. Okay. And they've got all their receivers back. Christian Watson actually is going to be on the field. I think everybody is connecting last year's dots to this year's dots. I don't see that. Now, I think Green Bay's playing really good, especially they play defense better at home. When you go back and watch the first game, it's 38-13 in the fourth quarter. The game's over. They moved the ball up and down the field on the Bears, and the Bears had a hard time moving the ball consistently on the Packer defense. I think the Packers are playing better. I realize the Bears are playing much better, but are they going to be able to throw the football in this game? The line was 3.5. It went to 3 earlier in the week, and it hasn't budged. It's been 3 all week, which makes me a little bit worried, right? Yeah. Those are kind of those 50-50 games where you're going. I know a lot of people, and I was on the Bears earlier in the week. I was on McAfee on Wednesday, and he asked me for 2 picks, and I really wasn't prepared. I took the Bears, and I took the Texans. I still like the Texans pick. I'm not in love with the Bear pick here because I just think the Packers are playing good, and I think Love's going to play well. And unless my man Joe Barry just has a complete disaster, they usually play a team the second time better than they played them the first time. That's usually what happens. I thought LaFleur, for as much as we kid about him on the podcast, Femi, you and I thought his play calling was outstanding against the Minnesota Vikings. I thought it was tremendous. So this line, to me, is a little misleading considering when the Bears went on the road and played Cleveland, they struggled. Now, Cleveland's defense is better than the Packers, but they can do similar things. So I think, to me, if the Packers don't turn this over, I think they win it.
Yeah, it's a high-stakes game here for Green Bay, once again, with a chance to beat a division rival Week 18 to get to the postseason at home. Obviously, we all know the stakes about Chicago. We've talked about that all week long for Justin Fields, what his future lies. Sounds like Eberflus is safe. Sounds like Ryan Poles could be safe as well here going forward. But I think it's a fascinating game. Bears trying to play spoiler while Green Bay trying to punch its ticket to the postseason, to where 4 or 5 weeks ago, everyone thought, yeah, Packers going to go into the postseason. 2 weeks ago, everyone thought the whole thing had collapsed. And now we sit here with a Green Bay in control of their own destiny. It's been a roller coaster of a season for our guy, Big Daddy. Hopefully they can get into the dance here and be an interesting team with an offense that has a lot of skill guys who could really put some fear into the opposition here. With the Lombardi line, or rather the Lombardi look ahead wrapped up, let's get to this game though between the Titans and the Jaguars, because there's quarterback news there. Trevor Lawrence limited in practice with the right shoulder injury there, also dealing with a left finger injury. Doug Peterson said they're going to take this all the way up into the game. The line right now is Jags laying 3.5 on the road, total 40.5. Would you anticipate that Lawrence goes in this game? I mean, if it's a true game time decisions, division on the line, maybe they give it a go. But even if he plays, there's no way he's near 100%.
I don't think he's going to play. I think they're better off playing the healthy quarterback than the unhealthy quarterback. They can play good enough to win the game, right? Now, the Titans are a different team at home. Tannehill will be the starting quarterback. This could be the last time we see him. We know that. Mm-hmm. Last time we see Henry. Their offensive line is horrendous, but it plays better at home. You know, it does play a little better at home. And so I think this will be a tough game for him. And the line was 5.5 earlier in the week. You know, now remember, we had this stat. We talked about it on the pod. We've talked about it on shows. When teams are playing against a team in week 18 or week 17 that have nothing to play for, and they're facing a team that have everything to play for, you betting the dog is a 61% proposition there. So I fully expect the Ravens. We know it fits in one of my categories. We know Vrabel's coming back. They're going to play for Vrabel. Like, he's mandated, we're going to play. And with Tannehill, I think Vrabel feels a lot better. I know that Tannehill's not a great player, but at least he feels like he can win on third down and he can execute. So I think it's going to be a hard game for Jacksonville. I liked it. To me, that it moved from that 5.5 down to 3.5. I didn't take it in Russo because of the line movement. It worried me. So I just kind of laid off it. He didn't take it either.
If C.J. Beathard starts at quarterback, do you think the Titans win the game?
I think there's a chance, yeah. I mean, Beathard didn't play badly the last time he played. If they can execute, look, what they did was by playing Beathard, Peterson shifted his focus from trying to throw it every play to trying to run the ball and control the game, which was the best game I thought he's called all year.
It was the most dominant.
Now, it was against the Panthers. I get that. It was against the bad Panthers, but
yeah. Panthers so bad, it'll make you throw your drink. All right, on the other side, Kirk Morrison, NFL veteran, joins us next year to break down.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
The Die Hard. Jalen Hurts was sick. He had the flu. Is he going to be the next Michael Jordan? Could people please stop comparing anybody to Michael Jordan? Can people stop doing that? Because there's never going to be another Michael Jordan. There's never going to be another flu game. There's never going to be another X of Michael Jordan.
I lost $1,000 on the flu game.
And of course you did.
The Die Hards, weeknights from 8 to 10 Eastern on the Sports Map Radio Network.
Learn how thousands of smart homeowners are investing about $1 to avoid expensive home repair bills. John, a former non-customer, said, "My air conditioner broke and I had to spend $1,900 to fix it." Jeff, a customer, wrote, "My air conditioner broke and I got a new one at no out-of-pocket cost." Mary, a former non-customer, wrote, "My heating system stopped running. I had to spend $3,000 to get a new one." Lisa, a customer, wrote, "My heater stopped working. I got it fixed at no out-of-pocket cost." For about $1 a day, you can have all the major appliances and systems in your home guaranteed fixed or replaced with HSC's home warranty coverage. Call now, and the first month is free. If the lines are busy, please call back. 800-814-5615. 800-814-5615. That's 800-814-5615. 800-814-5615.
Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids are facing hunger every day? Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love.
Thank you!
Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
This is Brett Musburger, and you've got the best of both worlds. VSiN programming on the SportsMap Radio Network.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Femi Abebefe, on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Looking to bet smarter? Than VSiN has the perfect holiday gift for you. Sign up for our holiday special today and get VSiN Pro access to everything we do from May 1st all the way for only $79. Sign up today. You get all the unlimited access to daily best bets, the exclusive betting splits, premium analysis, and 24/7 video, plus all of our betting guides and best bets for the College Football Playoff National Championship, the Super Bowl, and March Madness. All you have to do is visit vsin.com/subscribe for the holiday special now. Welcome back. This is the Lombardi Line here on the DraftKings Network. Femi Abebefe, Michael Lombardi here on a Saturday. We've got 2 NFL games, a full slate tomorrow to wrap up the regular season, as well as a college football national title game on Monday. And joining us now to break it all down, you see him on ESPN as a college football analyst. You also see him on ESPN LA doing pregame, halftime, postgame show, and LA Gridiron Weekly for the Los Angeles Rams. The one and only Kirk Morrison, played 8 years in the NFL, joining us now here on the Lombardi Line. Kirk, we appreciate you taking the time here this morning. We'll start with the CFP national title game between Washington and Michigan. After watching all the tape here all season long and seeing the playoff earlier this week, how do you see this game playing out here where Michigan's a 4.5-point favorite and the total expected to be 56?
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of the great games that we've seen in a while in terms of national championship games. I think about how far we have come from last year's game where it was 62-7 between Georgia and TCU. I don't think we'll have that kind of national championship game. What I do see is that I think a Michigan team that feels like they're the team of this season in terms of what they've had to go through from a coaching staff standpoint, obviously with Jim Harbaugh being suspended twice. But I feel like they have a formula. They've always been, to me, one of the favorites this year. And I'm not surprised, but I think they'll go in on Monday night and they'll take care of business. They're going to run the football. They're going to try to play a game of keep away. I think from Michael Penix Jr., Rome Odunze, the Washington offense. I think this one comes down to the running game of Michigan playing keep away and limiting those opportunities for Michael Penix. That's why I do see the Michigan Wolverines hoisting that trophy. But I think the bigger part, I know Mike Lombardi will love this as well. I see this Monday night, we're going to see maybe 10 to 15 players from this Michigan team get drafted in next year's NFL draft. That's how talented they are, and I think that's what comes through on Monday night.
Kurt, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I was up there this summer. I spoke to the team, and they're connected. You could feel the energy in the room when I talked to them. I mean, they are a team on a mission, and, I don't think that the style or anything's going to get in their way. They just kind of have this, you could feel their purpose, and they can play either way. I agree with you that they're going to have to play keep away because I don't think you want to get into a space game. I went back and looked at 2019 when Indiana played Michigan, when Caden DeBoer was at Michigan with Michael Penix, and they smoked them. I think it was 39-14. So they have kind of an idea that tape will be valuable. But I wonder, and my question to you is if this becomes J.J. McCarthy has to win the game, and I know what Jim said about him, do you feel comfortable that he can do that?
I feel comfortable if the game is tight. I don't feel comfortable if they're down multiple scores, right? A 2-3 score game, that's not something that he can come back from. That's not, I think, the offense of Michigan is what they are. But I do trust him with about a couple minutes left or in a fourth quarter down by a touchdown or a field goal that he's able to bring his football team back. I thought we saw that, on New Year's Day, going up against Alabama and that defense. So I think he has that in him, but asking him to stand down the barrel and, come back from 2 or 3 scores, I don't think that that's in their DNA. They have to play from ahead in this game. It's a must that they get out to an early start and try to, again, just play keep away from Michael Penix, because the more opportunities that he's get, we already know they're going to go deep down the field. So those safeties, those corners for Michigan, this is the week that they wear the big sombrero, because everybody's going to notice them. They're going to have to play huge this weekend.
But we're speaking with Kirk Morrison, 8-year NFL veteran, now ESPN college football analyst, also an analyst for the ESPN LA, covering the Los Angeles Rams on the pre-half and post-game show, as well as LA Gridiron Weekly. Well, let's talk about those Rams here, Kirk, because everyone obviously acknowledges that the 49ers are the class of the NFC, but there's been a little bit of a debate about who that second best team is, whether it's Dallas, Detroit, Philly. Could the Rams potentially be the most dangerous team and the team that has the best opportunity from preventing the Niners from going to the Super Bowl?
I think they're the most dangerous only because they don't even really believe that they're here right now, to be honest. I mean, this season was really about the Rams drafted 14 players, and all 14 made the team. They're actually on the 53-man roster. Okay, all 14 players. They're not supposed to be here, but yet they found a formula that works. They found a mix of experience that goes along with youth. And so when you say, who's the most dangerous outside the 49ers, I don't even think the Rams know how dangerous they are, because they're very young in so many areas. A lot of these guys on this team don't know what it's like to play in the playoffs. They don't know what it's like to play in an extended season. A lot of these guys matter of fact, their starting left guard, Steve Avila, was part of that TCU team that played against Georgia in the national championship last year. So a lot of these guys don't even know what they're getting into right now. And I think that's what makes them dangerous, is that a lot of youth not understanding, just going out there and playing. They're having fun. They're moving the football down the field, offensively, defensively. They're making key stops. That's, I think, what scares me the most about this team. I think moving forward is guys are just making plays. They're not worried about the outside noise, which is what this whole season has really been about for them.
Hey, Kirk, okay, they play the Niners. They're going up there. My sense of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is they're going up there. Yeah. And once Nakua gets his catches, he's out of the game. None of their good players are playing, and McVay just wants to get this thing over with and could care less about winning. Am I right?
Yeah, I think so. That's the plan. This game has no bearing on them for the playoffs. I had someone reach out and say, well, they're playing for the 6th seed and the 7th seed. I said, well, you don't know football well. You don't play with the football gods like that. You don't say, well, we want to lose this game because we want to play against this team, or we want to win this game because we want to hold on to this seeding. You want to make sure that you're the healthiest football team when it comes to the playoffs. And the Rams are going to do what's best for them. If they win the game, they win it, but they're not trying to overly put guys in harm's way, because they know how important it is. This season for the Rams was really all about Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald. If those 3 guys, your foundational pieces, are healthy, it can bring along the younger players. And that's what you've seen from them. And that's why I think that this weekend is it's all about keeping guys healthy. They could care less if they win or lose.
Michael mentioned Puka Nacua there, who's in pursuit of the rookie record for receiving there. And obviously on the offensive side, everybody knows him. But I want to ask you about the defensive side and defensive tackle Kobe Turner, who now all of a sudden everyone's sort of learning Kobe Turner over these last couple of weeks here. 2 questions here. 1, did the Rams know what they were getting in Kobe Turner when they drafted him? And then 2, do you think he has a legitimate chance to be Defensive Rookie of the Year?
I think the Rams knew what they're getting. If you look at a majority of the guys, I mentioned the 14 that they drafted, they all drafted, I call them young adults. They didn't draft they didn't draft a guy who comes out early. They drafted a majority of guys who played 4 and 5 years of college football, that have seen a lot of college football, that maybe have transferred it into other programs and have stood the test of time. that to me, they got guys who came in and just really needed to hone in on their football technique, their NFL techniques. And Kobe Turner is one of those players. He's come in and just been a force ever since he just got this opportunity. And so I think the Rams realize now that they've got a little piece with Aaron Donald pushing him as well. Should he be Defensive Player of the Year? I mean, you got to put him up against Jalen Carter, right? And who's had the better, more impactful season? I would say Jalen to start the year. But I think for Kobe Turner, if you've really watched the game, he has definitely been, he leads all rookies in sacks. I would hope that he's Defensive Player of the Year, but the Rams have not had those national TV games. So outside of the market, I don't think people realize the impact that Kobe Turner, or if I think Puka Nacua has really had. You see the stats, but I don't know nationally that people really saw how good these rookies have been this year.
No question. I think when you lead the league in sacks and you're getting play, people can talk about Donald and all that. But, I mean, I think the other thing that doesn't get enough recognition is how great of a job Raheem Morris has done, Kurt.
Mike, he had to replace Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd, Bobby Wagner, like all pro players. He had to replace them, guys who are making a huge impact for the teams that they're playing against. And they brought in all of these draft picks, and yet Raheem Morris has found the right formula. He's done a tremendous job. I think getting the defensive line together, creating a pass rush that they didn't have before the season started, but they've got these young players who are just running around like their hair on fire. Ernest Jones has been great at the middle linebacker spot, very underrated player in the league, but has been truly solid. And Raheem Morris has made him a blitzer.
Yep. He is Kirk Morrison, played 8 years in the NFL, ESPN college football broadcaster now, and also the Rams pre-halftime and post-game show, as well as LA Gridiron Weekly on ESPN LA. Kirk, we appreciate the time, man. Be well.
Thanks, Kurt.
Enjoy the
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost? Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. BestHotelRates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to besthotelrates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping for your next hotel room. BestHotelRates.com. It's in the name. BestHotelRates.com.
Wake up call. You guys want to kick field goals all game? Is that what the league is coming down to now? Do you know how many box scores I look at where I see a kicker kick 4 field goals in a game now? It happens all the time.
The offense seems to be able to move the ball in their first 50 pretty easily.
Exactly.
Once they get past the 50, everything gets stalled. But now you have kickers where it's like, oh, let's go for the 50-plus yard field goal. He's consistent.
At this rate, kickers are going to start making $20 million a year.
It's a kicker's league, Tony.
Wake up call with Tony V and Ron Culver. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Wake up call. So NBC keeps doing these promos for the Olympics in Paris. And Chris Collinsworth was literally begging Mike Tirico for a spot on the broadcast team going to Paris.
Now, if he goes to the Olympics, how much does he know about equestrian?
Well, I tell you, what I love are the horses, right? They're beautiful animals to look at. And when you really think about it, isn't it kind of hard to take a horse and, jump over fences and stuff?
I can't wait for the news that Jack got invited.
That's my biggest worry. Hey, Dad, I'm here in Paris. I sound just like it. We got guys in the pool throwing a ball around into a net, and you get a point if you do that. I'm excited. I know they're excited. Most annoying version of nepotism I have ever seen in this business that is filled with nepotism.
Wake up call with Tony V and Ron Culver. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Wake up call. Duran, right?
Yep.
Can you find Duran at a local casino?
Probably.
You know what's amazing? These guys, at one point, they're playing in arenas, right? And then they're going to be like, come for the buffet, stay for Duran.
Show starts at 6.
Buffet begins at 5.
Wake up call with Tony V and Ron Culver. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Sports Map Tonight with Luke Morrow.
Doc Rivers, quote unquote, hired Dennis Rodman to come babysit his kids when they were both teammates in San Antonio in the mid-90s. What athlete would be the worst or best babysitter? Of all time, any sort. Like, obviously, I think you say Tim Tebow would be a great babysitter. But if I needed a babysitter in a pinch and I had to choose an athlete.
I'm with you on Tim Tebow for a great babysitter. I know probably who the worst would probably be.
Who would you say?
I'm definitely thinking Antonio Brown.
Absolutely.
I feel like Russ might be the most boring babysitter.
Oh, you know, that's another good one, too. Speaking of phony.
He'll come with all the cliches.
Yes, he would drive you nuts. He'd probably do a good job, like from the parents' perspective. He'll make sure the kids are okay. But yeah, the kids probably would not like him. They'd be, putting things in his shoes and stuff.
He'd be like a substitute teacher that nobody likes.
Exactly. They're throwing things at him when he turns around, sticking signs on his back.
Super responsible, though.
Oh, he'd be a great babysitter, but the kids just wouldn't like him.
Sports Map Tonight, weeknights from 10 to 1 Eastern.
This is Brent Musburger, and you're listening live to VSiN on Sports Map Radio.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Femi Abebefe, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This week, new customers can bet $5 and pocket $150 in bonus bets instantly, and they will get the NBA League Pass for the rest of the season. Fantastic deal there. Download the app and use the promo code VSiN when you sign up. We're hooking you up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Welcome back. This is the Lombardi Line on the DraftKings Network. Femi Abebefe, Michael Lombardi here on this Saturday morning. Hope everybody's having a fun weekend. We got NFL games coming up later on today. And joining us now, I mean, my, oh my, this guy has been scorching hot for the final quarter. He is in first place in not just the Circa contest, but also the Westgate Super Contest as well for the final quarter. Also has a third place entry in the Circa contest for the Circa Millions. The one and only Matt Youmans, host of VSiN Tonight, which you can check out Monday through Friday, 9 to midnight Eastern, as well as the VSiN College Football Betting Podcast. Matt, how we doing? I'm assuming we're doing pretty well, given your standing in both contests.
Well, I'm in my home office right now trying to map out the plan for how I'm going to use the plays in the two contests this week. So still trying to come down to some final decisions and looking for some valuable input from Michael Lombardi here, too. I want to ask him about a game.
You know, Matt, my approach this weekend, because I do the Russo contest, and my approach this weekend was to really kind of narrow the game down, try to avoid the wild card games, if you will. Like, I really like Houston, but on the road, first time, Indy, I didn't want to play that one in the contest. So what I tried to do is look for a team that I thought was vulnerable this weekend. And I thought Philly, if they feel like they're not going to get the 2 seed, which is a good chance, the way that Washington has just retreated and, they don't have any players going to play, Dallas should win that game. Philly's going to basically by the second quarter, third quarter, take their guys and sit them down. I'll take the Giants in the 5.5. I thought the same thing with the Bengals. I think the Browns just want to get this game over with. I think the Bengals want to win the game. And so I laid the 7. I don't love it, but I laid it. And then I thought the 49ers, because the Rams backups are not very good, and that's what they're going to play. So I kind of did that. I don't know if it's the right approach, but I didn't want him to double down on me and take. I didn't think he would take any of the other teams that I didn't take.
Yeah, that's true. Those are games that a lot of people are going to want to stay away from. I've got a short list of 8 plays that I'm going to use this week, and the Giants are on that short list. And for a lot of the reasons, basically, that you just said about the Eagles, I think they could pack it in at some point during this game. And also think the Giants' offense is much better off with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. And got a little bit lucky last week, the Giants did, getting in the back door in that game against the Rams. But I think the Giants are probably the sharper side in that one.
We're speaking with Matt Youmans, host of VSiN Tonight and the VSiN College Football Betting Podcast here. Well, Matt, what do you think about this afternoon's game, Pittsburgh and Baltimore? The Steelers 3-point favorites on the road. Of course, Baltimore resting some marquee guys, Lamar Jackson chief among them, total 34 here. How do you see this game playing out here? And is this one that you may be considering for your contest card?
When you look at in the contest card, it's Ravens +4. It's kind of tough to turn down value like that on a home dog. Now, what you see in the media all week is, well, the Ravens are resting everybody. As Michael knows, this is not college football. You don't have 100 guys on the roster. You got about 55. So you can't rest everybody. And you're going to have to play some guys. And the Ravens are not the type of team that's going to roll over and play dead and let the Steelers walk the red carpet into the playoffs. Tyler Huntley's played in big games before. Plus, do you really trust the Steelers offense laying a field goal or more on the road? I think there are a lot of things you got to look at with this game. On top of all that, you got a trend that the underdog is 16-1-1 against the spread in the last 18 meetings between these teams. So it's going to be dog or pass for me in the Ravens-Steelers game.
The other thing I think you have to consider in your handicapping is how much game planning is the one team going to do. Mm-hmm. So if you're playing Jeff Driscoll in Cleveland, you can't give him a playbook. You're going to run 5 or 6 plays. Lou Amoromo's got his whole playbook. The Bengals are preparing for this as if it were week 10. So they're going to run all their stuff. Meanwhile, the Browns are running a preseason game playbook. See, everybody talks about, well, this is going to be a preseason game. As you mentioned, you can't play a preseason game here because you don't have 90 guys. But what is relevant to preseason is the game plan. You do not have an elaborate game plan. And if you have a team that wants to win on one side, they can adjust and make it play and figure it out. So I think you got to put that into your handicapping too, because like for me, San Francisco can run their game plan because they're really not, Bosa's supposed to play, Kittle's going to play. They're going to play their guys a little bit and they can run a fairly good game plan. The Rams, how much can they really use with Carson Wentz? They're going to have 5 or 6 things. They're going to do some things, but they can't. They don't have a running back. Williams isn't going to play. So I think you have to take the scheme element into your handicap in this weekend as well, unless you go for the playoff games, Atlanta, New Orleans, Houston, Indy, or Detroit, Minnesota. Like I see all the pros are on Minnesota, Matt, and I don't get that because I don't know if I would trust Nick Mullen to protect the football.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on the Vikings. I know a lot of sharp bettors who like them. I don't trust them either, and I don't trust Nick Mullins, and that's going to be a pass for me. That game did not make my short list. I do want to ask you, and you make some great points there about the game plans and the quarterbacks and not having certain players around them like the Rams. What about what's the game plan going to be for the Jets and the Patriots in this game with, I would say 2 below-average quarterbacks? And we're going to have what appears, Michael, to be a snowstorm in Foxborough. How do you think that game plays out?
Well, I was prepared to take the Patriots with my first pick because I just feel like they're playing better defensively and they'll be interested and engaged in the game. And then I was worried about the storm. I'm worried about the turnovers. Both these quarterbacks can't wait to turn the ball over. They'll give it away as much as anybody. Bailey Zappi's first quarter, it could go to Canton. How bad that was in terms of here's the game, Buffalo. Would you like to have it? So I wasn't really sure. I didn't understand the line movement. It was 2.5 and it went to 1. Who's betting the Jets? Russo ended up taking New England with his first pick and he went on the rant about, there's no way Belichick's going to lose what could be his last game. I kind of see it's either New England or walk. And I like New England in the game. I don't trust the ability of either team to protect the football. And I just think you can't handicap weather, right? You can't handicap the cavalieredness that both teams play when it comes to the ball.
Yeah, that's a good point too. By the way, that first quarter by the Patriots last week, maybe they got all that clumsiness out of their system. Bailey Zappi, especially last week against Buffalo, and the Patriots still managed to cover that game. I think when people say there's no way Belichick's going to lose to the Jets and what might be his last game, that's just lazy handicapping. What happened in Tom Brady's final game in Foxborough, Michael?
Yep. No, they lost. He threw an interception to the last game we saw, and Miami went in there with nothing to play for and beat them. And they had to play Tennessee the next week and lost. So, I think to me, this is why all the Vrabel, the Tomlins, the Belichick, all that stuff that we rely so much on our handicap, and it really isn't applicable this year because their quarterbacks can't wait to turn the ball over. Like they just can't. And it goes against what they believe in. And so, I have a hard time backing Bailey. I watch Bailey Zappi. I have a hard time backing him. I mean, Mac Jones, they can't wait to give it to the other team.
Yeah, I think the positives with the Patriots, if it snows, is they got the number 2 run defense in the NFL, and they've got a rushing offense right now that can move the ball probably better than the Jets. I do give the Patriots an edge in that game. I'm not sure if I want to play it yet.
Hey, Matt,
I do give them the edge.
Matt, we got about a minute left here. I wanted to get your thoughts on Bills Dolphins as well as the national title game Monday night between Washington and Michigan. I know you talked about it on the VSiN College Football Betting Podcast, but for our listeners here on the Lombardi line.
Well, I'm playing Washington again, plus 4.5. And I think, you look at the Texas game, we hear all season how tough this Texas defensive front is. And what I saw last week in the Sugar Bowl was a Washington offensive line that kept all the pressure away from Michael Penix. Did a great job fending off that Longhorns defensive front. Washington put up 532 total yards, 430 passing yards. Penix was precision with his passes, and they've got NFL talent on that offense. And, I don't think the Michigan defense has faced anything as dynamic as this Washington passing offense. And I've been on the Huskies in the Pac-12 title game and the college football semi. I'm going to stick with a lot of bettors. The team that's paying you off, you tend to stick with. And I'm going to stick with the Huskies here.
Huskies money line, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, go ahead. I took the 4.5 points. I did not bet the money line yet.
All right. I just asking just to see how much you like
Don't be an Eagle fan, Femi. Don't be an Eagle fan and not take the points. Why not? Take the points.
I'm taking the 4.5. I haven't decided whether I want to take the money line as well. But Matt Human says plus 4.5 there. Matt, we appreciate the time. Good luck with the Circa contest as well as the Westgate Super Contest this week. We're rooting for you to get home and bring home the big check, man.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you.
Awesome stuff.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happens. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-402-7117. 800-402-7117. 800-402-7117. Call right now. That's 800-402-7117.
The diehards.
And then all of a sudden, a sweeper pitch comes in. She goes, what's a sweeper? And I looked at her and I went, I don't know. Hey, Siri, what's a sweeper pitch? What is going on? I felt like I was lost. And I'm like, I cover sports. I know this. And again, I'm a knucklehead fan on the radio, but I'm like, what is this? And then I'm seeing slurve. And I'm going, what? Am I gone?
The Diehards, weeknights from 8 to 10 Eastern on the Sports Map Radio Network.
Did you know you can go to a trade school college that has you learning as an apprentice in a real radio station, culinary kitchen, film studio, or in a recording studio? Stay out of debt and out of a boring college classroom and learn on the job in the real world. The Radio Connection puts you in a real radio station. The Recording Connection trains you in a real recording studio. The Film Connection has you learning under a real filmmaker. And Casa has you learning one-on-one in a real restaurant. It's your life. Amplify it now and learn as an apprentice in a unique way to get a career as a broadcaster, podcaster, chef, music producer, or filmmaker. Just visit one of our sites, radioconnection.com, recordingconnection.com, filmconnection.com, or casaschools.com. Or call 1-865-413-5724. That's 1-865-413-5724.
Wake up call. Hefty Lefty on Twitter. Easton Stick is the most perfectly named hockey player that angered sports gods by picking football. That's a great point.
That's true.
Easton Stick. That's a hockey player who chose to play football. Who is Easton Stick that he's a calf injury away from being the starter of the Chargers?
That would be like if a kid named Rawling Glove decided to pick up a basketball.
Wake up call with Tony V and Ron Culver. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Wake up call. Polar Express would definitely be a lot more interesting.
Exactly. What's more interesting, that game or that kid on that train that was like, Montezuma, the king of the Aztecs, used to drink 20 quarts of hot chocolate every single day. Used to put in chili powder. Get it? Hot chocolate?
One of the things I always loved, and I would love to try to do this, is go down that slide.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Like a toilet bowl that dropped you into the bag of toys.
Yeah, that looked fun.
And to hear that little girl sing the song when the Northern Lights appear.
Exactly, right?
That's a heart-touching moment.
The essence of Polar Express.
The elves all look like little gangster alcoholics.
They don't look cute. Those elves look kind of
especially when he's like
worn out. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Like, I don't know if I kind of scary. You're more troll-like than a cherub little elf.
Billy, the poor kid from the other side of the track. Drop him off.
Doesn't even have like a full PJ set. Just wears dad's shirt.
Wake up call with Tony V and Ron Culver. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
This is Brent Musburger, and you've got the best of both worlds. VSiN programming on the Sports Map Radio Network.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Timmy Abebefe on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today and get a daily email recapping all the best bets from our show hosts and guests. You'll also get unlimited access to our VSiN.com/picks page. All you got to do is sort the picks by sport, matchup, event, date, and more. There's also a leaderboard for the top VSiN experts. All the VSiN Pro picks, betting splits, power ratings, and 24/7 video access. It's all for $9.99 at VSiN.com/subscribe. Welcome back. It's the final segment of the Lombardi Line here on the DraftKings Network. Thank you to all four of our guests, Tim Murray, Dane Brugler, Kirk Morrison, and then Matt Humans, who joined us in the last segment there. If you missed any of it, make sure you check it out in podcast form on the Lombardi Line here. But Michael, before we go any forward, how about we give out our pro tip for the day here? And this one is not just looking at the personnel and who's playing in these games, but also factoring in the potential game plans as well with some of these quarterbacks who were signed off practice squads or weren't with their teams earlier this season.
Yeah, I mean, we see it all the time, right? You sign a guy early in the week and he's got to rush in there and play. Carson Wentz has been involved with the offense, but they haven't handled the offense. So you're going to have to factor in, if you're taking the points on some of these dogs that are playing, Cleveland, you're getting 7.5. Do you feel like Lou Anarumo's not going to figure out what the game plan is by the Browns and then shut it down, especially knowing that the Bengals are going to want to try to win the game? How big of a game plan can Washington have? They're playing a bunch of different players. A lot of guys have been activated off their injury list. So I think you got to take scheme and the impact of the ability to adjust the game plan out, right? You know, and if you just want to bet games that have implication, you know their full game plans. Atlanta, New Orleans, full game plan, right? You know, Carolina will run their full game plan against Tampa, who will run their full. So if you want to stay in that lane, same thing with Detroit, Minnesota. Mullins has been around enough. You know what they're going to do, but they don't have Hawkinson. So how does that adapt their game plan to what they want to do? Whereas Detroit, you know, they're going to play their guys. And I think Detroit's going to play their guys all the way through the game, maybe to the fourth quarter if they have the lead.
Yeah, can we talk about that game real quick before we get to Saturday? Because I guess, spoiler alert, I laid 3 earlier in the week with the Detroit Lions, but I still even like it at 3.5 if Detroit plays the entire game. Now, do we anticipate that they're going to play the full 4 quarters, or is it maybe let's say they're up 21 heading into the fourth, they start to kind of pull guys out? Is that why we're still sitting here at 3.5? Because this number makes no sense based on what we've seen over the past couple weeks.
Yeah, it's a scare. For me, it makes no sense at all. I think Detroit, if you know anything about Dan Campbell, it's like Mike Vrabel. He wants to win the game.
Yep.
And he wants to build momentum going into the game, right? Now, the other side is this. You know, all the players know O'Connell's coming back, so they're going to play. The problem is losing Hawkinson and his 90-some catches. on third down. We saw it last week against Green Bay. There was really nothing they could really do when their security blanket left. Yes, Jefferson's a great player and he can make plays. But to me, I think you saw Brian Flores really try to blitz. He couldn't do it. He couldn't play coverage. I think it's a hard game for Minnesota. I'm surprised that Minnesota's getting so much money from the professional bettors. You know, when you look at the splits, the public's on Detroit, but the pros are on Minnesota, which obviously the pros have been on Washington for a lot this year and haven't won. So I'm not like sitting there saying the pros know what they're doing. I just think, to me, I like Detroit. I think Detroit's in the no retreat mode. I don't think they're going to retreat.
Yeah, it's almost like the pros are kind of like calling Dan Campbell's bluff, because Campbell has said all throughout the week, we're playing our starters. Our plan is to play our starters. Obviously, if guys are hurt, they're not going to play them, but they're going to, like, Goff will be out there, Amon-Ra St. Brown, like the whole nine. And almost like the pros are saying, well, we don't think he's going to play them the entire game. Maybe it's a half, maybe it's 2.5 quarters. So I guess we'll all find out Sunday afternoon, but I like Detroit in this game here. I laid the 3. I'd still even lay 3.5, honestly, here, but we'll see tomorrow. Let's get to today's games, though. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Steelers, 3-point favorites. That's where we've been hanging out all morning long here. Kickoff 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. Totals at 34 here. Ultimately, what do you like here? Any interest side total, and who do you think wins this game?
Well, I think ultimately, you always love Tomlin when he's a dog, right? And I think, to me, you're going to get their best effort. Baltimore is defensively, they won't have Humphrey. They're going to play Clowney. I'm sure they'll play to get him to the sack. He's got some incentives in there. Look, this is a pride game for Baltimore. I think weather's your handicapper here. What the rain's going to bring to the table, how it's going to affect the game, all that. I think it's, when it was at 4, I think what Matt Human said, you almost have to consider the Ravens. At 3, you like Tomlin as a dog. You don't quite love him as a favorite. I think the blitzes will affect Rudolph. I don't think he'll play as well as he has in the past, but I think this weather's a hard handicap in the game. If I lean anywhere, I lean towards taking Baltimore in the points.
Yeah, the weather kind of throws a curveball into this thing. Once again, they're expecting 10 to 15 mile per hour winds, gusts up to 25, 30 miles per hour. A lot of rain early in the game. Maybe it tapers off a little bit in the second half, but it's going to be definitely a wet one out there in Baltimore. And I agree with you. I'd take, even at 3, I'd take it. Like, I'd take it earlier in the week at a better number, but 3, I still think that the better quarterback is with Baltimore in this game. I mean, we'd make the Pro Bowl
even
jokes,
with the backup.
But even with the backup, I still like Huntley more than Huntley started a playoff game last year. Like, this is not going to be too big for him. And this Ravens team is deep. They're a good coaching staff, and the fans, like, they want to beat Pittsburgh. They're not laying down for the Steelers.
No, I agree with that. I think there's motivation on Baltimore. And you just know John Harbaugh. They're not going to quit. They're not going to give up. They're not going to kind of retreat, where I think in some of these games, if it gets a little bit ugly, they're going to, I don't see Cleveland's going to have a second plan. I think Cleveland, if they can run the ball and they can play, they're going to try to stay as competitive as they can, but they don't really care. They want to get back to Cleveland and get ready for the 4th seed, whoever that will be, whether it's Houston, Indianapolis, or whether it's Jacksonville. I think that's the motivation in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, is it safe to say that maybe Cleveland started peeking ahead and started doing a little bit of game planning work on those AFC South teams?
Oh, there's no question. That's what they did. Because there's no game plan that they're going to – I mean, Schwartz isn't going to really do a lot. He's not going to show anything in this game.
Nope.
And I promise you, whoever they play in the wild card week are not even going to watch this game. This game's not even going to be on the film breakdown. They're not even going to use that, right? So every time a team prepares for a game, they take to get tendencies and all that, they take 4 or 5 games. This game will not be one of the 4 or 5, right? Because they're not going to show anything. That's what I keep trying to drive home to the bettors here that listen to the program, is you got to really take that into account, because it's not going to be an adjustment game. Cincinnati's going to do their thing. Cleveland won't. Now, that doesn't mean Cleveland's not going to win. I'm not saying that. If they drop coverage or they do something wrong, but there isn't that adjustment in, okay, here's what we need to do to fix this. Here's what we want to do. I don't want to do this. They're going to play the game. I think you're going to see a lot of Driscoll run. I think the reason they're playing Driscoll is they're going to run a 1-back, kind of a 6-back offense.
Yeah. Shorten the game, get out of there, get back home for the playoffs. And the advantage that Cleveland has is that they played the AFC South this year. So they played Indy, Houston, Jacksonville, the 3 teams that they could potentially play next week. So maybe they almost kind of like do like the scout themselves, and they can start throwing some tweaks. having 2 weeks to kind of game plan for this thing and maybe show them something they didn't show in the regular season. All right, let's talk about that Houston-Indy game. We're out to 2 with the Texans as a road favorite, total 47.5. Do you agree with that move, pushing Houston out to where even some places, Michael, there's 2.5s as well?
I mean, look, I know this on paper, it seems like the right move. I think Houston's the better team on paper. But again, I think you got a real issue here of understanding what is the home, how they handle the moment, right? This is a big moment and this is a playoff game. And so you're always worried about that. I have faith in Houston. I like them in 3 areas. I like their offense better than I like Indy's offense. I think Minshew can turn the ball over. I think Stroud will really throw. There's a lot of easy throws against this Colt defense. I like the Texans to rush the passer. They didn't play well in the first game, but they're a different team. And I think these tackles for the Colts are vulnerable, especially against the outside rushers of the Texans. And then I think the special teams favor the Texans, right? Yep. So I think there's 3 areas. Look, last week, for whatever, they had a 10-point lead on the Raiders, but as a Raider, and I was a Colt backer in the game laying the 3, they were never in control of that game. The Colts were never in control of that game. I think the Texans can get in control of this game.
Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
The game is over, but this time, instead of asking how many goals did you score or what were your stats, try asking these questions. Were you a good teammate? Were you coachable? Did you give 100%? And did you have fun? Because those are the values that school sports instill in Ohio's young people, where winning and losing are secondary to the life lessons that will stay with kids long after their playing days are over. This is the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Educate through sports.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
Pam Maldonado, Jonathan Von Tobel. Michael, enjoy the games today. Always good chatting. We'll talk tomorrow to preview the full 14-game slate.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost? Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. BestHotelRates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to BestHotelRates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping for your next hotel room. BestHotelRates.com. It's in the name. BestHotelRates.com.
The diehards.
There's a lot that think they're the king, you know what.
And those shows out there are awful.
But I've also been very good at grooming co-hosts to be like really national spectacular talents. And then I sit here in my basement broadcasting live.
This is funner.
I suck.
This is funner.
Funner. Is that a word? Funner? You don't even drink.
No.
The Diehards, weeknights from 8 to 10 Eastern on the Sports Map Radio Network.
The Boss and the Gloss with David Gow and Carla Dawson.
We have joining us on the Progressive Insurance guest line, Hall of Famer Fred Biletnikoff. For those who may not recall, Fred Biletnikoff went to Florida State. Florida State on the outs after the College Football Selection Committee this weekend. Love to get your thoughts on this very controversial outcome.
Listen, let me tell you, people have no idea how hard it is to go undefeated. And I don't care who's on your team, who's playing, whatever, you're still undefeated. I hated them using the situation because of the quarterback getting hurt. They still won games. If it was any other team than Alabama, that committee would have no other choice but Florida State. But they're afraid of Saban and that whole crew. That's the problem. The committee has no guts. They have no guts. It was disgusting.
The Boss and the Gloss, Monday nights from 6 to 8 Eastern.
Imagine learning about radio and being mentored by true radio professionals in real radio stations. Well, actually, you don't have to imagine, because there's Radio Connection. Radio Connection gives you the opportunity to learn one-on-one and be mentored by radio pros. Plus, you don't have to worry about getting into a crazy amount of debt with school tuition either. Radio Connection keeps their tuition at much lower costs. To find out more info, visit radioconnection.com.
Sports Map Tonight with Luke Morrow.
But the most annoying part about flying, of course, is always the people. I can't stand the people that cut the line. As soon as the plane lands, they're up out of their seat and they're running towards the front of the plane. And especially when I try to stand up to get out of my row and they don't stop for you, they just keep passing you.
Man, I think we'd be plane enemies.
You and I?
I think so.
Why? You're one of those? You're getting right off the plane?
I am one of the guys who try to jump and rush off the plane. But I will let people in if they're like, people keep passing them up.
Yeah.
I will let them in line.
Oh, well, at least you'll do that. Unbelievable. You're reclining your seat. You're cutting to the front of the plane.
I only recline my seat with kids. That's the only one.
Oh, okay, if you say so. What about when it comes to boarding the flight? Do you wait till your zone, or are you up, like, hovering around?
No, I wait till my zone.
Okay, all right.
But I don't think enough. They always think I'm military whenever I come.
Oh, really?
Like, I always get asked.
Yeah, I can see that. You fit the role.
Sports Map Tonight, weeknights from 10 to 1 Eastern.
Hi, it's Mark Means, host of By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open, don't speak with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a
boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Miss an episode of By All Means, and you can miss a lot.
To the radio play-by-play voice and our buddy back from here at Youngstown, it is the voice Fitz. Everett Fitzhugh. My friend, how are you?
Man, it feels good to hear your voice again, Mark. Everything's going well, and definitely excited to be back on the airwaves briefly for here in Youngstown.
By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio and streaming live on westernreserveradio.com.
This is Everett Fitzhugh, the radio voice of the NHL Seattle Kraken, and you're listening to the home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio.
So
very little of that up front, of course.
And he's not 20 years old. Let's be clear, right?
Exactly.
So, right? I mean, we're talking Wemby's 20 years old now, so he's going to have more time to kind of get to that $1 billion threshold. But I mean, walk me through, is there any sport other than basketball in your mind that can get a player to $1 billion in earnings on the field or court for that matter?
Baseball can do it and the NFL can do it as well, but It's going to take longer for the NFL. I mean, you look at Mahomes' contract, it's $450 million, but even, let's set Mahomes aside. Let's use Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson, I believe, is 27 years old. He's going to get another $250 million after this. Maybe more, probably more than that, but I think it's going to be $250 million. When he's 35, if he's still playing at the same level, he could get more money. And it all depends on how does the business of sports grow in the next 10 years.
Right.
If the media
deals,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think the big three all have a chance to do it, baseball being the most likely up front. Just because there's no salary cap. Yeah. If you have another generational prospect come through, let's say they play for the Yankees. You mean to tell me the Yankees would not write a 12-year, billion-dollar contract?
They're just waiting to.
Exactly.
So the thing with, of course, the NBA is that your playing career is longer, too, than in the NFL or, to some extent, the MLB if you're throwing really hard.
If you survive that long, I'll say. And the beauty of an NBA contract is that, A, it's fully guaranteed, and B, they are shorter. So in NFL contracts, you can have 4, 5, 6, and sometimes you can have 10-year deals. But an NBA max is 5. So if you make it past your rookie extension and you enter the league like Wemby at 19 years old, you finish your first contract at 23, now you're guaranteed $300 if you meet the proper qualifications to get that $300 million. And all you have to do is be first team all defense. And I just said he's leading the NBA in blocks. So he has an 8-foot wingspan. He's leading the NBA in blocks at 19 years old. If he continues to do that, I mean, how can you not put the leader in blocks on the first team all defense? I think that happens for many years to come.
Well, Randall, let's think about it this way, right? I'll give you another one. I mean, Michael Jordan, when he played, only made, $93 million, I think, something like that. And that was years ago, right? But he made most of his money off the court, right? And endorsement deals with Nike and Hanes and whatever. What do you think gross Wemby's going to make with you now lump in all of the off-court endorsement deals. You actually spoke to him, right? I mean, he's getting involved in some, some different drink power. And I mean, talk to us a little bit about what his plans are.
I can say he's had over 24 endorsement offers.
He's going to have his own shoe for sure. Yeah.
He's accepted two. What are his?
And Barcode. Barcode is a plant-based drink, founded by Kyle Kuzma and a guy named Mubarak Malik. Mm-hmm. And the funny and crazy story about how they got connected is one of Barcode's investors is from Paris. And so Bar, as they call him, was like, hey, I want to try to connect with Wemby. When Bar flies over to Paris, he meets Wemby's mother, who is a massage therapist and I want to say a nutritionist.
Okay.
And so she looks at the drink and sees all these different ingredients and is like, I like this. And Wemby liked it. And so he invested in a brand. I'm pretty sure he's going to have his own flavor coming out. And, we'll see where it goes. It's very reminiscent of a Kobe and Body Armor thing. But again, Kobe did this way longer when he had $6 million to invest in Body Armor. Wemby's doing this as a rookie right now, and we'll see how it grows.
Well, Randall, I got to ask you another question. You mentioned Paris. The Olympics are coming to Paris, right? Yep. And they're coming to Paris, France. I mean, Wemby is going to be in
the middle of it.
Right in the middle of this.
It's the biggest basketball showcase. This year's Olympics will be the biggest basketball showcase the world has ever seen.
I mean, Scarlett, I was just in Paris over break, and I got to tell you, it was everywhere. I mean, the Olympics are going to be huge there. And it didn't even really occur to me that Wemby is going to be right there. He's going to be the focus of it all. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the league is counting on him as an ambassador for 100%. The sport, to the global audience.
In a deal with the NBA is going to be negotiating new TV rights, right? So it's kind of all lining up pretty perfectly, right, Randall?
For sure. And one of the things that happened when Wemby was drafted was Adam Silver met with Wemby before the draft. Adam Silver doesn't meet with any number one pick. And he shakes your hand on stage, but having meetings with someone, that generally doesn't happen. And so they recognize the magnitude that he has. And really, it's just using him as an example to other international prospects. It's like, hey, this is what can happen, because the last 5 MVPs have all been international players. For instance, if you look at Wemby, he just looks unlike anything we've ever seen. When you look at Joel Embiid, Joker, and Giannis, they all have a basketball player type of feel. When you look at Wemby, it's like, yeah, he looks like he should be playing basketball, but it's like, how did you get to be that tall in the first place?
Is he the tallest NBA player ever?
I'm not sure.
No, I think Yao Ming was pretty.
Yao Ming was 7'6". And there's nothing that anybody, once he gets to a level of like confidence and skill, I mean, I don't know how you defend someone like that. And that's where the media comes into. Like the NBA put 19 national games for the Spurs this year. That's more than the Brooklyn Nets. And we know how much bigger Brooklyn is than San Antonio. So they're betting on like, hey, here's this rookie. The team may not always play well, but just get a look at this tall guy.
We know you want to watch him play.
Right, exactly.
All right. Our thanks to Randall Williams, Bloomberg U.S. sports business reporter, for joining us. Make sure to check out his story and more from the Bloomberg Big Take on the Bloomberg Terminal and online at Bloomberg.com/Big Take. Up next, we talk big money sports collectibles with the president of Robert Edward Auctions. That is straight ahead on the Bloomberg Business of Sports from Bloomberg Radio around the world.
You're listening to the Bloomberg Business of Sports on the Sports Map Radio Network.
Ready for your next content binge? Check out www.believe.com. That's BLEAV for sports analysis, pop culture, health and wellness, and much more. Our network includes current and former pro athletes, Olympic gold medalists, award-winning actors and actresses, and many more. Find your next binge on Believe.com today. Do you believe?
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Wake up call! I didn't know this, but Tom Brady was drafted by the Expos in 1995.
Yep.
Fun fact, he was their last ever draft pick.
Wow! How cool is that? Forget 7 Super Bowl championships. That's how I would introduce myself if I was Tom Brady. I'd be like, I was actually the last ever draft pick by the Montreal Expos.
18th round.
That's pretty wild.
Wake up call with Tony V and Ron Culver. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
The Die Hard. Jalen Hurts was sick. He had the flu. Is he going to have to be the next Michael Jordan? Could people please stop comparing anybody to Michael Jordan? Can people stop doing that? Because there's never going to be another Michael Jordan. There's never going to be another flu game. There's never going to be another X of Michael Jordan.
I lost $1,000 on the flu game.
And of course you did.
The Die Hards, weeknights from 8 to 10 Eastern on the Sports Map Radio Network.
This is the Sports Map Radio Network.
This is Bloomberg Business of Sports from Bloomberg Radio.
This is the Bloomberg Business of Sports show where we explore the big money issues in the world of sports. I'm Scarlett Fu here with Damian Sassower. $7.2 million. That is how much a rare Babe Ruth rookie baseball card sold for in auction late last year.
Yeah, and according to ESPN, that is the third highest price ever for a baseball card.
Robert Edward Auctions made the sale, and we got a chance to talk with the president of that firm, Brian Dwyer, about the sale and more, along with our colleague, Michael Barr. Let's take a listen to that conversation.
The rookie cards are always going to be among the most desirable. I mean, people like to see the early first collectible for a player. That's what drew people to the Babe Ruth card. That's what we see people gravitating to today with prospecting these up-and-coming players. There's a lot of different things to collect, but rookies have always been at or near the top.
Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about how collectibles has really shot up in terms of an alternative investment product, especially since the pandemic, because that was when people really started to have time to go into their attics. And I'm looking at Michael Barr here as I'm saying this, to look for the cards that they may have collected in their youth and decide, maybe it's time to see how much they're worth.
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic, without a doubt, was a defining moment, a defining event for our industry. You had people that had time. You had people that were looking for distraction. You had people that had money that they were not spending on discretionary things like travel or going out to eat. And they gravitated to this part of their life that brought them joy many years ago for a lot of these people. And there was a sector of people that were coming in that were looking at it as an investment. What is going on in the market? What can we control? What can we not control? You know who's pretty safe bet? Babe Ruth. We know exactly what he's done. Mm-hmm. We know his values baked in. And they came in by droves, and they really spent a lot of money. We've seen some ebbs and flows, but here we are coming up on 4 years since the start of the pandemic, and the market's been very resilient and continued to grow.
Brian, I remember a few years ago, my son was on social media and he was watching a bunch of kids open old baseball card packs. And I don't know about you. And I mean, I didn't think that was a thing, but apparently that has absolutely blown up. Talk to me about that. How has that changed the landscape for your business, for sports memorabilia and collectibles? I mean, apparently it's been a huge boon to the business.
Yeah. So, I mean, you say right there, social media and watching people open these things. I mean, it's created a community in a way that didn't always exist. For a long time, you had to go to card shows and you had to travel and leave your home to interface with people that liked what you liked or were interested in what you were interested in. Now you've got thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people who in the comfort of their home have the accessibility that allows them to build this community and spread information and exchange information and learn and grow this industry.
Have you ever heard or seen of somebody open up a baseball pack like that and find that card that will allow them to live on Michael Barr's private island down in the Caribbean?
Rookie Damian Sassower card.
I'll give you a little bit of personal history. About 5 years ago, I bought into a box opening of a 1986 Fleer basketball box, and I was lucky enough to receive the pack in which a Michael Jordan rookie card was in.
Wow.
And it graded a 9 out of 10, grading and authentication paramount in our industry. So that was a big hit for me. That was a multiple of my investment. And, that's what draws people, the allure of getting that desired card, that chase card, that key rookie. And so we love to see people get into the hobby however they arrive here. And we just hope that they stay and learn more about all the fun and exciting elements of it.
In the late 80s, early 90s. Now, here's the problem with it. I didn't even open the box and say, okay, if I don't open this box, this is going to be good. The problem is there was pretty much nobody good in it. And the market was overwhelmed. And, Topps and Fleer and all those guys realized, you know what, we can make a lot of money if we just sell it like this. Am I wrong in thinking like that?
No, I mean, the 1980s definitely marked a power shift where the manufacturers realized that they were, frankly, leaving money on the table. And so if you look at the production numbers from the 80s and 90s, through the roof. And, even though packs were the most expensive they'd ever been at $1 in 1989, people couldn't get enough of them. And so what we've seen is as the supply and the glut of product really grew, we saw people gravitate back towards vintage. And vintage is an area that we specialize here at Robert Edward Auctions. Those old cards, of which there are not many, of which they're not making more of, there's a special something about those. And that's what we've seen long term has the price history, has the data of what's happened in good times and bad, and gives people the confidence to look at them as that alternative investment, in addition to just straight out enjoying them.
What about the more modern players, the players that are in the headlines post 1960s or even today? I'm thinking Patrick Mahomes, Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are dominating the headlines. They're dominating their fields and their courts. And in our hobby, they're the biggest names going, and I think the jury's still out on what long term the guys like Ohtani or Trout or some of the basketball players will do value wise, but they're drawing in droves of young kids who idolize these players. And again, that's exciting. I don't collect today what I collected when I was a kid. So we love to see people coming into the hobby from all angles. We love that there's new product being made. We love that the card companies are getting exciting and adventurous with some of the product that they're putting out. And, we just want people to have fun doing what they do. And if you can make a little money, then that's a bonus.
So Brian, let me ask you this. You've got Damian Sassower's 2016 Bloomberg rookie card. And then you have Damian Sassower's 2016 Bloomberg rookie card, but it's signed by Damian Sassower. Which one's worth more?
That's actually a dynamic that shifted as well. It used to be blasphemous to put a signature on a card. And nowadays we're seeing incredible premiums being paid for cards that are signed. Either modern cards that come out of the pack signed or vintage cards that are signed by the players and maybe noted with some career statistics or rookie of the year highlights, etc. So there's been a big bump in price and interest for signed cards compared to what we were seeing even 5 or 10 years ago.
What about jerseys that are signed or baseball bats that are signed? I know that people collect them. They're worth a lot. They put them behind glass cases, but is there a market for actually trading these items?
Yeah, I mean, game used memorabilia is a sector of our market that's really taken off in the last several years. As we saw this incredible escalation in pricing around cards of all types, we saw people look and say, you know what, for not much different of a price, I can actually get something that this player used or wore. And so with the modern guys, where having a signed bat or jersey is available, I think that many collectors would prefer that. But, we this past summer sold a Babe Ruth baseball bat for $1.32 million.
Wow.
So it doesn't have to be signed, but if it's available, collectors won't turn away.
This is the story that always breaks me up. Not just those cards that are, rookie cards and this and that, but the blooper card. And I always think of the Bill Ripken card. I can't repeat what's on the end of his bat, but that card is worth something. And you know what I'm talking about.
I do. And I've never been bleeped in an interview, and I won't start now. But it's a great card. And yeah, to your point, people like these error cards. They like the eccentric cards, and they like the things that are unusual. And going back even into the 19th century, there's instances of cards that weren't supposed to get out there, and they did, and collectors pay a big premium. And that's exciting. And goes back to the ubiquity of social media. I mean, there are people that are opening up boxes today, discovering errors that people don't know about. They're sharing them and they're creating interest. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say 1910, we sold one of the most famous error cards ever. There's only 10 of them known. The printer changed the plate on the Joe Doyle card, had the wrong team. Only 10 of them got out of the factory. We got $1.32 million for one. So maybe we'll be talking about Billy Ripken being $1 million card here soon.
Our thanks to Robert Edward Auctions President Brian Dwyer for joining us. Up next, we bring in former Coastal Carolina head coach and former TD Ameritrade chairman Joe Moglia. You're listening to the Bloomberg Business of Sports from Bloomberg Radio around the world.
You're listening to the Bloomberg Business of Sports on the Sports Map Radio Network.
We see them every day. People driving, using their phones. There's the sneak-a-peeker or the fast scroller who can quickly become the fender benderer, the got-a-ticketer, or the driver who killed someone. Pay attention or pay the price. You drive, you text, you pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
With a Bloomberg Business of Sports report, I'm Michael Barr. Bankrupt regional broadcaster Diamond Sports won court approval of a deal to continue broadcasting local NHL games for the rest of the current season. The company and the league agreed to amend their current broadcast deal in order to allow Diamond to wind down its bankruptcy case and give hockey officials time to find a new broadcaster to handle local games. Diamond has a similar deal with the NBA and is trying to negotiate an agreement with MLB. In November, Diamond and its creditors gave up on a plan that would have tried to extend broadcast contracts that were profitable and adjust those that were not. Instead, the company now expects to end all its broadcast contracts with the sports leagues this year. Some soccer news. Chelsea agreed to a new sponsorship deal with crypto company BingX. For the rest of the season, BingX will become Chelsea's new shirt sponsor. With the Bloomberg Business of Sports report, I'm Michael Barr.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost? Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. BestHotelRates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to besthotelrates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping for your next hotel room. BestHotelRates.com. It's in the name. BestHotelRates.com.
Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids are facing hunger every day? Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love.
Thank you!
Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
Wake up call! Are you ready for the schedule of bowls kickoff? And then there's pretty much one a night all the way through to January 1st.
You know what? I look forward to the ones that are on that random Tuesday in the afternoon.
I love those. I absolutely love
those. Those are the ones, the Friday night ones, the Saturday night ones. I mean, yeah, they're on. But it's those Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Hey, we got a game on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Fantastic. Sign me up.
Is it because it starts to feel like the holiday?
I think so.
It starts to feel like, hey, I'll be taking 100%. My vacation. I'm home from work. Here's a game. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. The Bahamas Bowl, like on a Wednesday. Like, I'm in.
Quick Lane Bowl. I have no interest in either of these teams.
No, but it's on.
I will watch it.
You'll be, making your kids Lego sets and boom.
Exactly.
Watching a bowl game on TV.
Wake Up Call with Tony V and Ron Colbert. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Wake up call. You guys want to kick field goals all game? Is that what the league is coming down to now? Do you know how many box scores I look at where I see a kicker kick 4 field goals in a game now? It happens all the time.
The offense seems to be able to move the ball in their first 50 pretty easily.
Exactly.
Once they get past the 50, everything gets stalled. But now you have kickers where it's like, oh, let's go for the 50-plus yard field goal. Yeah, he's consistent.
At this rate, kickers are going to start making $20 million a year.
It's a kicker's league, Tony.
Wake Up Call with Tony V and Ron Colbert. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
The diehards.
I'm a monkey running around. It's tough. They can't control me. You know what I mean? I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot as it is, so it's hard enough to control anyway.
When I'm waiting to come on as a guest, I can hear you.
You can hear everything. We're doing everything. We're talking this. We're talking that. We're putting bets in. We're doing shots. No, we're not doing shots. We do shots after the show. But no, it's hard. It's, being a producer in radio is really hard. And I'm being very, very serious. I've been doing this a long time. I've had some brilliant producers. I've had some tough ones that it's hard. It's a hard job. And managing idiots like me that sometimes it's out of your control. And it sucks too because they don't get paid that much. they need to be paid more. I wish we should start like a producer, like GoFundMe for producers. But some of them are really good, dropping sound effects.
The Diehards, weeknights from 8 to 10 Eastern on the Sports Map Radio Network.
This is the Sports Map Radio Network.
This is Bloomberg Business of Sports from Bloomberg Radio.
This is the Bloomberg Business of Sports show where we explore the big money issues in the world of sports. I'm Scarlett Fu here with Damian Sassower. Michael Barr will be back next week.
With the college football championship game coming up on Monday, we wanted to take a look at the state of the game.
The NCAA itself is in flux with conference alignments shifting and the emergence of NIL.
To talk us through some of the big headlines is former head football coach at Coastal Carolina and former chairman and CEO of TD Ameritrade, Joe Moglia. Joe, welcome to the Bloomberg Business of Sports.
Damian and Scarlett, thank you very much for having me back on. I've enjoyed it every time we have done this.
We love to hear that, Joe. And thank you for coming on. Happy New Year to you. You recently wrote an op-ed for Sportico on this idea of players' unions in college. So walk us through the thinking here and whether we're, close to that idea or not.
There isn't any question, especially as far as the Power Five goes, that this is a matter of money. The conferences do their own TV negotiations. They're responsible for their own revenues. They don't need the NCAA. And plus, if you go back 2.5 years or so when they were announcing NIL, to me, that's the most significant thing to happen in the history of college sports. The NCAA literally abdicated their responsibility. I thought that was, first, mind-boggling. And secondly, I think that's maybe the worst example of leadership I've ever seen in my lifetime. The organization is supposed to protect the student athletes, protect college athletics, do all those things. Biggest thing going on, they're gone. Okay, so the money is so significant, and I think the impact that the NCAA can really truly have, other than being an enforcer, Power Five is not going to do anything that they don't want to do, no matter what the NCAA is saying, et cetera. So therefore, it's really been run by the agents and the attorneys. Mm-hmm. And there was talk, I think it was at Dartmouth recently. I think a few years ago it was Northwestern, about literally unionized. That's Dartmouth and Northwestern. As the money's getting more significant, I can easily imagine players getting together. They know what the money is. They know what the money's like. They know what other people are getting paid, and say, if we don't get this much of a bonus or we don't do this and this, we're not playing in the bowl game or we're not playing in the championship game. Now, you say, well, that never happened. Well, you know what? Look at how many guys on the team at Florida State didn't play in the game. So I can easily see from a business perspective that the people that are influential, the agents, the lawyers, et cetera, not the NCAA, able to bring the athletes together because, frankly, it's in the best financial interest. 9 out of 10 athletes are going to behave in a way that's in their best financial interest.
Joe, for our audience, you have to explain what is the role of a players union? What do they do? I mean, it's like they contract on a minimum wage for players to play at, but what else do they do?
Well, I think their job, the basic job is to protect the players. So with regards to benefits, with regards to medical protection after you stop playing, with regards to making sure that free agency is actually allowed and encouraged to happen. So they're supposed to operate on the best interest of the players. So, for example, if
what about laying claim to 10% of the TV rights?
I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Again, there's nobody able to stop this. Nobody. What you could have done when it was announced a couple of years ago, you could have had structure around it. You could have guidelines. You could have rules. You have something that everybody would kind of coordinate around. There was nobody. You remember? I don't expect you to remember having been there, but about 40 years ago, SMU had some recruiting violations, and they got the death penalty for 3 years. Like they weren't able to have scholarships.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Sure.
Okay, you think about what Reggie Bush in 2005. He was getting some money, doing all those things. I'm not saying what he did was right because those were the rules. You break the rules. Everything that Reggie Bush did, totally legal today. Everything that SMU did, totally legal today. I mean, it wasn't even a conversation about what's supposed to happen. So at least we had the transfer rule that if you were going to transfer, okay, but you got to sit out a year. So if I'm going to give you money, I got to recognize you're not going to do anything for a year. If I'm going to leave, hey, I got to recognize I'm going to sit out a year.
Right.
The NCAA was nowhere to be found, but they get rid of the transfer rule. Then what happened? 3 weeks ago, the transfer rule was you can leave, period, anytime you want to play. Now, I'm sure there's more detail around that. And then 3 weeks ago, because there was a couple of things going on with regard to the courts, in their wisdom, the NCAA says, okay, we're going to get rid of the second time. So if you transfer once, you play right away. Transfer a second time, you got to sit out a year. That's gone. I mean, it's the wild, wild west.
It is the wild, wild west, and they're making it up as they go along here. What would players' unions do to the economics of coaching? Because a lot of these coaches are the big stars within the school and for their community.
Yeah, you know what? I think when we talk about players' union, and I should think that through more thoughtfully, Scarlett. The players don't have that type of stuff. So them coming together, they're the players. They're the players. You got a gazillion of them playing every game. As far as the coaches go, the coaches, at least 9 out of 10 of them have agents. All the big ones have agents. And the type of coaching contracts that they're getting are very, very significant. I don't think, not that they wouldn't, but I don't know if the coaches feel they need unionization. I think they're pretty comfortable and happy where it is. Now, I think what we need to look at.
How did they deal with a unionized workforce, though?
Well, the NFL deals with a unionized workforce. And if you're the coach, you're still the coach. Now, you recognize there are always rules and guidelines around you, whether they come from the NCAA, the NFL, whatever it is. But these are still your players. And if they're going to perform, you're the one that decides whether or not they can play. You're still in control of them. I don't mean control in a better way as far as the actual football goes. So if you think the guys are playing, you don't play them.
Yeah, but Joe, I just want to.
The guy's not playing.
Let me just take you through this.
He's not going to command the biggest salary. I'm sorry?
I was going to say, let me take you through this hypothetical, Joe. I mean, the truth of the matter is this is very different than the NFL because in the NFL, once you're on a team, you've signed a contract and you work for that team. You can't just transfer out next year and play for another team, right? So there are pros and cons to it. And if you have...
Damien, so I understand. Are you talking about the player or the coach now?
From the player's perspective, my question for you is, what does that look like? I mean, for you to unionize as players, right? And, to try and negotiate, say, a minimum wage, as for your rookie contract for any university, there has to be a little bit of give there from the university's perspective, right? We're going to pay you a salary. We expect you to be here next year. You know what I'm saying? We can't just expect to pay you for 1 year's service and then you run off and become a free agent and go to the next best thing.
I totally agree.
So do you think this is a way to lock players into their specific universities, which, as you rightly point out, in that Florida State-Georgia game is something it seems we desperately need here?
I agree. In fact, I actually think that because college athletics has no clue what they're doing from a serious financial perspective. It's embarrassing. That's why you have these ridiculous...
I agree. The Orange Bowl was a complete embarrassment.
3 years, get $75 million.
I agree with you. The Orange Bowl was a complete embarrassment. Imagine the sponsor for that event, and all of a sudden that's what they got. That's what they paid for. I mean, there's real money on the line here, Joe.
No, I agree. I believe, especially with the coaches, I can easily see it with regard to players. that college Power Five, at least that, should use the NFL as their model. And that would accomplish some of the things that you're talking about now. And that would be a good thing because there's no guidelines. If the NFL was doing what college football is doing, they'd be out of business.
So going forward, I mean, how does Charlie Baker proceed? Because he's made the proposal here of perhaps paying the players. But as you mentioned, doing that would open up Pandora's box, essentially. If you were Charlie Baker, what would be your first step? How do you kind of contain the damage?
I have spoken to Charlie Baker about this. One of the things that I suggested first few weeks on the job was take a leadership role. Right now, the position, it's an important position, it's prestigious, and it pays some pretty good money. But it has very, very minimum power over for Power 5 football. So one of the things we talked about was, by the way, you think it was an accident? It was an accident that they brought in a guy who's a lifetime politician that can work with Congress and kind of settles everybody down, makes everybody happy. But that's usually not a major decision maker. All right. So anyway, with regard to in terms of really running something. So at the end of the day, and I recognize you in the state of Massachusetts, I give him his due on that. But my suggestion was, why not take a leadership role? As a politician, don't you look down the road and kind of see what the landscape looks like and then start to make decisions based on that landscape so you can get reelected? Well, the answer to that is yes. Well, why don't you look down the road as far as college football? I guarantee you, do I know? But I bet a lot. No, but I bet a lot that there's going to be Power 5 separated from everybody else. So why don't you, instead of trying to hold on to them for dear life, why don't you come up with something where you actually recommend that they break away, actually give them a model that shows genuine leadership and you're operating in the best interest of the schools as opposed to the NCAA's best interest. And that should give them some real credibility with regard to all the other sports. Remember, you've got basketball, you've got FBS, then you put your arms around that. And you make it very clear that going forward, here are the rules, here are the guidelines, we're going to enforce it, we're going to treat everybody the same.
You are listening to former college head football coach and former TD Ameritrade chairman, Joe Moglia. Coming up, more from Moglia. Of course, he's got lots of opinions on college athletics. You're listening to the Bloomberg Business of Sports from Bloomberg Radio around the world.
Missed your favorite Bloomberg radio show? Bloomberg Business Week, Masters in Business, Bloomberg Intelligence, and more are also available as podcasts. Listen today on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the Bloomberg Business of Sports on the Sports Map Radio Network.
From local town councils to Capitol Hill, agents who are realtors are standing up for what's right. We're here protecting property rights. Here advocating for the issues that affect our neighborhoods. Here championing fair and equitable housing for all. Because we are realtors, bound by a code of ethics, driven to serve our communities. We're here for it all. Here for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
We see them every day. People driving, using their phones. There's the sneak-a-peeker or the fast scroller who can quickly become the fender benderer, the got-a-ticketer, or the driver who killed someone. Pay attention or pay the price. You drive, you text, you pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
Do you want to learn the secret to becoming a published author in a few easy steps? Here's all it takes with help from Dorrance Publishing. For over 100 years, we've assisted individuals like you to fulfill their dreams of becoming a published author. When you call right now, you'll be assigned your own personal consultant who will help you through the entire book publishing and design process. Then, your book goes into production. It gets promoted, distributed, and finally, made available where books are sold. If you've got a book idea, call Dorrance Publishing right now for a free consultation. We'll help get your great idea out of your head, on paper, printed, and sold. It's a free, easy call. We're trusted by thousands of book authors just like you. So don't wait another day. Call now.
800-847-1362. That's 800-847-1362. 800-487-1362.
Wake up call!
Duran, right?
Yep.
Can you find Duran at a local casino?
Probably.
You know what's amazing? These guys, at one point, they're playing in arenas, right? And then they're going to be like, come for the buffet, stay for Duran.
Show starts at 6.
Buffet begins at 5.
Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Colbert. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Sports Map tonight with Luke Morrow.
The Browns should sign me as their starting quarterback, and here's why. I know how to slide, and I know when to slide, and that was a huge issue. I still run a 4.340, people, and I can throw the football 80 yards.
All due respect, I don't know RG3. Seems like a nice guy. I think this is pretty pathetic. That's why anytime a quarterback gets injured, here he is making his Shark Tank pitch. Hello, Sharks. My name's Robert Griffin III. Here's why you should sign me to play quarterback for your team. I'm better than every quarterback you have. I can throw the football 80 yards. I can still run a 4.340. No, I haven't been in the league for 3 years, but you know what? I now know how to slide. Cleveland, I will lead you to your first Super Bowl.